say that for like that?
Here we go. We're ready to go. We're ready to start. That's all. Jeez. You always
Oh,
have to throw that whole serial killer thing on me, don't you?
yeah. Well, it's your fault. You sound like a serial killer, not mine.
That's your perception.
Um, no, no. It's not. You sounded like you were dragging a dead body behind you when you first messaged me. I swear to God.
I was working, dragging dead bodies.
Exactly. So.
No, it was a freaking hot day. I was like, listen. I think I was listening to the podcast with you and Kid Draco, and it was just going on forever. And then I was just finishing work. I was so exhausted. Then I jumped. That's when I was chiming in. I was just like parched, out of breath, carrying a bag of lime, and then yeah, there you have it.
Back of
Thought I was
line. Yeah.
dragging a dead
See what I
body.
mean? See what I mean?
That's it.
You
So
ain't fool me.
this is the first episode I'm going live on YouTube, and I'm just waiting to
Okay.
see if it pops up. It should pop up any second. I've got someone in the background helping me
What
out with
does?
that. Like actually, this show's being streamed live to YouTube right now.
We
First
used to
time,
be able to do
first
that.
time
Why
doing.
can't we do that anymore?
They changed it, so it was yeah, you could go to YouTube and Twitch. I remember they had that
Yep.
option, but I wouldn't have a clue how to set that up properly before. But yeah, it seems to have disappeared. They took it away for some reason. So I just got a message that it's going, so it should pop up any second. But yeah, just give it a sec because I want to see it come up first. But how have you been otherwise?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. You?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing a lot better. Obviously, yeah, we haven't really spoken as much recently in the last few months. We used to speak more often before, but um, yeah. So obviously, since I last spoke to you, like I had that heart attack and shit, right? So things have been
Yeah.
pretty damn good since then. Um,
Good.
yeah. Uh, all right. So today's show. So I don't know if you've been following uh, the series that I've been doing at all. It's called Conversations with Other People, as the title says. But I've just been doing interviews on people that have verified check marks, kind of trying to get people to connect back with the community. I know you sort of mingle with everyone on Stereo, which is good. It's just to get people on Stereo to know a little bit about the life of people that are verified check marks. I'm doing another separate series of people that aren't verified check marks called Strangers to Friends. But this is the one, obviously, the 8th episode. So I thank you for joining me. And I think this is a little bit more of a special one because I know you, and it actually is a little bit harder to do interviews with people I know. I've done one with Benny and stuff, and it's like, because I kind of know you, you think it would be easier, but it's not because you know the backstory a little bit more. So I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay.
All right.
So
Go ahead.
anything I speak to today, and I know you already know the answer from you, but anything I speak with, as I say at the start, is if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. You don't have to go into it. If you want to pass, you can pass on things that might be too personal if you feel. But I
You're
think you're pretty
fine.
much an open book. Yeah, so you're good.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do it. Let's start. I mean, and I know you've told me things before, so don't hesitate to say it again because this is kind of recorded as a fresh episode, and it's really for any listeners to listen to about who you are. So let's start with how old you are, where were you born, in what state, and what was your family life like as a kid?
I'm 35. I was born in Cook County, Illinois, and I moved to Arizona when I was in fourth grade. I don't even know how old that is, but I was in fourth grade when I moved to Arizona, and then I stayed there all the way up until last year when I finally took an air flight to New York, and yeah, I've been here for over a year. Um, what was life like? You know what? To tell you the truth, I really don't remember. I don't remember much of like my childhood. I don't know. I don't know why. I really like.
So
I
you,
Go ahead.
just cut in there. So you said you were 4 when you moved to Arizona. Where were you sort of born and
No,
raised
I was in fourth
before
grade.
that?
I was in fourth
Oh,
grade
fourth grade.
when I moved to
Okay. Well, what
Arizona.
about before that? Where were you sort of
I
located
was
before
in
that?
Illinois. Illinois.
Illinois. Okay.
Yeah.
And with your mum and dad, you had a few siblings as well. You had sisters, I believe. Sister.
Oh yeah, I have a sister and two brothers. Correct.
Yeah. And you just mentioned you don't really remember much about when you were a kid.
Damn. I don't even
So
know
what?
why I don't.
So what was one of your first memories then, if you can cast your mind back?
One of my first memories is I remember. Oh, I remember I used to have a crush on this boy, and my sister was always such a tattletale, so I locked her in with the deep freezer downstairs in our basement.
And you say
I
that
don't know
you
how
think
old
I'm the
I
serial
was.
killer.
You're the snitch.
So how old were you when that happened?
I don't even know. Knowing how old I was, I couldn't tell you. I don't know years. I couldn't even tell you. I don't know.
Okay, so you're at primary school then at that stage at least.
Probably. Yeah. I was, yeah. Because I left Chicago when I was and I started fourth grade in Arizona. So whatever, um,
Okay,
however old I was. So yeah, it was around that age.
fourth grade. I suppose you're about eight or nine or something like that. And you have no memories before that point.
I really don't. To tell you the truth, I remember my mom tried killing me. Uh, I used to have bad ear infections, like really bad ear infections, like I still all my life. And the doctor, the medication that they give you, like it just I was allergic to it, but my mom didn't know that at the time. Is what she said. And so she kept giving me more and more and more until my dad got home. And I really don't remember much because I was so like lethargic and I was just laying on the couch. I really couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. And I just remember my dad picking me up, like swooping me up and carrying me to the car and just laying me in the van and yelling at my mom. And then they got in the car and they took us to the hospital. And then the doctor said if she was to give me another, like one more tablespoon, it would have stopped my heart. And what it was is I was allergic to the sulfa. So yeah, to this day I'm allergic to sulfa. But yeah, that to be honest with you, that's like the earliest memory. And I don't know how old I was though.
Right, and so when you said your mum tried killing you, that's what you meant? She was feeding you the medicine without
No,
realizing,
she
or
didn't know that I was allergic to sulfa, so she just kept giving
yeah,
it to me. Yes. I don't want to believe that my
okay,
mom would really. She is a
no,
narcissistic bitch, but I just don't want to say she tried to
yeah,
kill me.
no, okay, we're getting into that. So, so your memories kind of start off a lot older than probably most kids. Um,
Yeah.
even though you can't remember back before that age, and we're going to guess about 8 or 9 years old or so, do you know what home life was like up until that point? Do you know if there was any sort of traumatizing events that maybe blocked out any memories for you?
I every time I talk, I don't talk about this. Don't let me say every time. I don't. Just because of what I know now, I have to say, yeah, that there must have been a traumatic experience that I haven't had therapy or I haven't, gone to counseling for it. So I don't know what it is, but the fact that I can't remember, there had to have been something that happened that made me block it out.
Sure.
I don't remember anything more.
Okay, so tell me, as a young girl, what was your dad like?
My dad, my
Yeah.
dad, growing up, I hated my dad. I hated my dad because my mom brainwashed me thinking I hated my dad. She always made me feel like she told me that I was never going to be good enough for him. That so I hated him. I never felt like I could do anything right in front of him, and he wasn't around like very active because my mom was very smothering. And I don't know. So when we moved to Arizona, my dad was my softball coach. He coached my soccer team. Like he did everything, all my sports. But just for some reason, I hate it. I don't know why. But he just watched TV all the time. That's what my dad did, was watch Discovery Health Channel, the Discovery Channel. But other than that, until I realized like I hated him for no reason. But so I don't really remember. I was always underneath my mom. I was always underneath my mom or at my grandparents' house. So I really don't remember much with my dad until I got older. And that fucking blanket was lifted from my eyes and I realized what my mom did.
Okay, so tell me more about then your mum from some of your
Oh,
earliest memories
I
about
do remember.
what she was. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, this just happened recently. I just talked to my dad. My dad had gotten arrested, and CPS had came to our house, and it was like these flashes, and all I can remember was the lady from CPS that came to the house, I just remember telling her I didn't want to lie to her because she was so nice, and she was just so nice, and I didn't want to lie to her, and I had. And then the next thing that I remember is seeing my mom's face, and I got in trouble because she gave me that look. And the lady just told me that it's fine. It's fine for you to love your mom and your dad. Your mom and your dad, it took your mom and your dad to make you. It's fine that you love them both. And I just remember my mom being so mad, and I ran to my room because I knew I was in trouble, but I don't remember anything else. But my dad had gotten arrested, and he got arrested because I guess somebody had called the police and said that he was showing naked pictures and selling drugs to kids when my dad had moved out. So when my dad got arrested, he lost his apartment, and the charges ended up being dropped because there was no evidence and nobody came forward. So yeah, the charges ended up getting dropped, but my dad got arrested. So I want to say that it's because my mom, I swear to this day, but my dad doesn't. He doesn't know. He just keeps saying, I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm pretty sure it was my mom calling CPS because my dad finally moved out. My dad moved out for a little bit. Where he worked, he got an apartment. And I'm pretty sure my mom was probably pissed. And yeah, so she called CPS. She called the police on him and got him arrested.
And was
Then he had to
this
come
was this
home.
before that memory of you having a crush on that boy? So this was when you were sort of quite young.
No, this is when I was older. I really don't remember anything when I was younger.
Okay, okay, okay. So tell us more about your mum then. What was it like with your mum? So the stage that you hated your dad, and you said you're underneath your mum's wing, kind of thing. What sort of comfort was your mum giving you at the time?
It wasn't comfort. My mom was never there. My mom was never there. I don't. She was very smothering. She was very embarrassing. She was very over. I don't know how to explain it. Like she just. It's hard to understand it because when I was younger, it would. If I wasn't at school, I would go to my grandparents' house. So the only memories that I have of my mom is just dropping. Like really, just I don't really remember. I don't know. She was always over extra. I loved her. I loved her so much. She was like everything to me. It's hard for me to say what my memories were because I know how my mom is now. So it's like I'm trying to I'm trying to understand like how did I view her when I was younger because I view her the way that I do now. But when I was young, she was everything. Like she could do no wrong. She was the most amazing mother ever. Like I loved my mom and I did so much for her. I would always keep trying and trying and trying to do everything that she wanted to be so perfect for her is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be the one that she wanted me to be. And no matter what I did was just, she always would get mad, but I would keep trying and keep trying.
Okay.
I don't really remember.
Um, so you spent a lot of time at your grandparents' house then, as a kid, and do you have more memories of that then? Do you or
Yeah, I do. My grandparents, see, what would happen was when I went to school, I would go on Friday. So I'd go Monday through Friday. And then as soon as I got out of the school on Friday, I would call my grandpa and be like, can I make a reservation up at the hotel? I used to call the house a hotel. And my grandpa would be like, well, let's see if we have some vacancies. I don't know. I'm like, Papa.
And was
So
this your mum's parents or your dad's parents?
yeah, my mom's parents. Yeah,
Mum's parents.
just my mom. When we moved here from Chicago, it was just my mom and my dad, my brothers and sisters, of course, and then my grandma and grandpa. Everybody else is in Chicago.
Okay. And so, what was your relationship like with your grandparents then?
Oh my God, I got everything I wanted there. I was spoiled. They left me alone. Like all that one-on-one attention. Like me and my grandparents and my grandma were very, very. Oh my God, I've gotten my grandpa. My grandma can't hear, so she can't hear out of one ear. She can only hear out of the like barely out of the other one. So they they would always yell at each other, and I'd have to be the mediator because my grandma couldn't hear what he was saying. It was just, but I went everywhere with them. So we go to the mall, we go out to dinner with their friends, and I would be right there with them. And then we go shopping around the mall, then just go home. But it was like that one-on-one attention that I needed, I guess you could say. Like I don't remember. We would rent movies, and I would just stay up late with my grandpa, and that was really it. I didn't do anything extravagant, but it was just me by myself. I didn't
Yeah.
have to worry about my brothers and sisters.
Okay. So, do you know why it was just you that used to go to your grandparents and not your brothers and sisters?
My mom's racist. Like my mom. all my friends in school were black. I only hung around. I remember my mom telling me like you can't have sex till you're married. You date with inside your race or whatever. And in high school, freshman year of high school, they were just really mean to me, and so I started hanging around with like all the black people and the Mexicans, and my mom got upset at me and she yelled at me, and I kept trying to tell her like, but mom, my white friends are mean to me, like they don't like me, they make fun of me, and she just didn't understand that. So my friends were all black and I couldn't have them at the house, so that's why my grandparents became my friends.
Okay. Okay. So, what was school like for you then?
School. I don't remember anything. I remember high school. I remember freshman year of high school. Freshman year was, I don't even remember. Sophomore year is when I got my first boyfriend when I was 16. But I had to be on he was black and we had to be on the DL and I couldn't. Yeah, so I hid it from my mom. I remember that. Um, as a matter of fact, that's right. Wow. But yeah, that's all I remember. I can't even remember junior high or elementary. I don't remember. That's not good, huh?
Okay. Yeah, you're
That's
missing
not good.
missing a lot of memory there. Like,
Yeah, like I'm like sitting
that's
here and
gone.
I'm crying. I'm like, how do I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. I wish I could.
Okay,
And that's why I like
that's
talking
okay.
about it, and that's why I don't remember.
It's all right. This is the whole point of this. We can like just delve back and try and remember what we can. So,
It's like
all
I
right.
only
So,
remember flashes.
sure, sure.
I can
Even
like
the
just
flashes is
scenes, like scenes in
good
my
to
head, like
revisit.
they're just flashes.
Mm-hmm. Um. All right. So you used to love spending time at your grandparents' house, um, and you used to have a lot of this love for your mother, right? That you want to always make her proud and happy. What was the
Yeah.
point where you started to kind of realize that it was uncomfortable at home and she was maybe expecting a lot of you, and you couldn't fulfill some things that she was requiring? Because I do know that you've mentioned several times she's
Well,
a narcissist.
probably okay. So when I was 18, I got married when I was 18. So got married when I was because the only way I could leave the house is if I got married. So I had met a guy off Black Planet. Shut up, don't touch me. And he was in the military. And actually, so I want to say, when did I cut? 16. I started cutting when I was 16. Yeah, right when I lost my virginity. So when I was six, probably I want to say that probably when I was around I, I I didn't know that she was a narcissist. I just found out that she's a narcissist maybe 3 years ago. But when I'm thinking back, like when I was 16, I saw an episode on Oprah talking about like a girl that used to cut, and she said how it used to help her. And I remember I instantly went into my room and I broke my compact mirror, and that's when I started cutting. And my brother found me, and then he told my mom, and
Hang on, hang
from
on. What
that's
what does
like
it mean to cut? I don't understand that.
cutting my wrists. Yeah, I
Oh,
cut
okay.
cut my
Right,
wrists.
right, right.
Yeah. And my brother told my mom, and then my mom came in and yelled at me because there was blood all over the place. She like screamed at me, and she was, oh my god, she never let me live it down. And that, oh my god, she was so pissed. So I want to say around then is when I started going head to head with her, because I had wrote her a letter telling her, like, I know I'm not an adult and I can't make my own decisions, and I don't know what's best for me, but I do know that when I have kids, I'll never let them feel the way that you make me feel, because it's not right. And I slid it underneath her door. She still has it to the day. But so I want to say from when I was 16 is probably when I started going head to head with her. And then when I was 18, I got married just to get out of the house. I couldn't be there anymore. I couldn't do it. I was sneaking out every night, every night. So when I was 18, I got married. He was in the military, and then I moved in with him. He was just an abusive asshole. And then I ended up
Well, let's
coming
just stop
back
there for.
because huh? Go ahead.
Let's just before we get to that, like I want to sort of revisit the whole cut thing. So, you've written a letter to your mum, slid it under the
Yeah.
door, and you're cutting yourself now because you're obviously experiencing pain, like, and that's kind of like
I,
almost a way of taking pain away or distracting yourself or self harm,
you know what it
right?
was when I was 16? I got raped by my boyfriend. So At the time, I didn't know it was rape, so I'm thinking that's how I was processing it. Something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. I didn't feel good, or I didn't feel like it didn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like because I had to hide it from my mom. My mom didn't know I had a boyfriend, and when I was raped, I had to hide that from her too. So it was like I was dealing with so much, and I felt so much in the inside that I just went to cutting. That's why I went to cutting. All of the
Okay.
shit from my mom, and then that on top of being raped, and then for my because when I lost my virginity is when he raped me, and so from that too, on top of all the other bullshit my mom was doing, you know what I mean? So I think that I just reached out for cutting. Like I needed something to. For me, it's like when I cut, all these millions of thoughts are going through my mind, and it's just like oh, like I could focus on one thing, you know, the pain that's on my wrist and the blood that's coming out. I could just focus on that. So it's almost like a release.
All right. You wrote this letter to your mum saying, when I grow up and have kids, I'm never going to make them feel like that. How was your mum making you feel?
Like I'm not good enough. Like I'm not good enough. My sister, like she treated me differently. She treated me a lot different. My sister had everything. My brothers had everything handed to them, and I didn't understand why. I had to fight with her to get to be treated the same. I always wanted to be treated the same. So I just remember.
Um,
I always felt less than because I was like just me, but I wasn't like my sister, and I wasn't like my so.
why do you think your mum did that to you and didn't make it fair like she did with the other siblings?
She didn't. Because I want to say because I'm the firstborn, and because my dad, my dad, because she was, I was the firstborn. I don't know. I was the firstborn, and my dad gave the attention to me. So she just, I just like just hate. Just I don't know how to. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. I was treated different. Like when I say like my sister and my brother, like my sister and my brothers, like my mom was always so nice to them and just gave them everything that they wanted. They didn't have to work hard for shit. They didn't have to do the chores that I had to do. Yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
nice.
All right. So let's just stop there for a second and clarify something that it probably is sometimes. I mean, I wouldn't say all families, but it's definitely I'm the oldest child in my family, and I feel the same. I had to run through all the brick walls for my siblings. It was like harder for me to, because you're the oldest child. It's the first time your parents are dealing with anything. They they're more strict with you because it's like the first time that you might want to go out and sleep over your friend's house, or it's the first time that you want to go out to do certain things, right? And they're not exposed to that yet. So yeah, I think parents probably in general a little bit harder on the eldest child. So that's not out of the ordinary, but probably marrying up with your thoughts, as silly as it may sound, and your suggestion for other people or not, I'm not sure, is that yeah, maybe if your mum was narcissistic, that she's kind of paid out on you because the attention that your dad may have given to you out of the love for his first child wasn't as much attention as your mum required, so she almost like resented you for that.
You know,
Does
and
that sound
then
like
I
it?
think about it. My brothers, I mean, they all had sleepovers. They had their friends coming over and sleeping over. I never went anywhere. Never slept over at any of my friends' house. I never had sleepovers. I never did that. I was all, I, God, I was a lonely child. But yeah, my mom resented me because my dad was giving me the love that he should as his firstborn. My dad was excited, you know, oh my God, you know, and my dad, but the love that he was showing me wasn't the type of love. Like I guess it took away from her in a sense. Like now she feels like, oh well,
Mm.
you're taking my love away, or it doesn't look like how she wants it to look. I guess you could say. Yeah.
Hmm. So you wrote this letter to your mum at about 16 years old. That to me sounds like the breaking end point. Like you can't take any more, and you don't know how else you can communicate with her or get the message across. So you wrote a letter to her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I wrote
So
a letter. Yeah.
so what was the lead up to that? I mean, what was the point where you started to realize that this was happening though? Like, that was like the breaking point. That it didn't just happen overnight. There was a build up of that as a child that you couldn't release, and that's the way that you sort of did do that. Walk me through what the process was as that was building to that point.
Um, I don't. I would always. I don't. I was always trying to get her attention. I would try and sneak in her room in the middle of the night because I'd be scared, and then she would get mad at me and she would drag me out. Or she'd get pissed and tell me to go back in my own room. All I remember is just trying to reach for her, and anytime I would talk to her, or anytime I would try to get her attention, I knew I wasn't gonna say what she wanted me to say, and I knew that I just wanted I just had, like, as I got older, it was just less and less interaction because I didn't know what to say that was the right thing to say, if that makes sense. Like I knew that whenever I talked to her, I was never telling her the right thing. So I just started keeping it to myself. Like I just started staying introvert. Like I just didn't want to bother with her, but I still wanted her attention. So I would still like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. All I can remember is just trying to reach out for her, like sneaking in her room in the middle of the night, and then she started locking her door, so I couldn't do that. Um, or I always felt guilty. I had a lot of guilt, and I remember I used to have to confess to my mom, like when everybody else would go to sleep. Uh, I had to confess to her like why I felt so guilty, and she would tell me like, because she raised me Catholic. We're Catholic. She's Catholic, but she would always tell me like, "Don't you feel so much better now?" And it would for a little bit, but then I guess it was, yeah, only for a little bit. So yeah, I don't really know. I was too worried about saying the wrong things with my mom. Now that I think about it, I don't
So,
really have an American.
so much of this attention is trying to fulfill the satisfaction of your mother, so that she's proud of you and you feel accepted, but she's kind of not giving you that love and, well, she's not giving you that fulfillment. Um, but you said you had your hate for this hate for your dad, yet he was the one that kind of loved you with open eyes, and I know your mother was kind of probably brainwashing him along that track. If your dad was your dad trying to give you attention, what was he doing along this process when this was happening? Was he trying to reach out to you as well, or did you just not want to
My
know
dad,
what happened?
I don't really remember. The only thing I remember in Chicago is when my dad built an igloo out of the recycling bin in the wintertime. He had built an igloo because it was a square recycling bin, and it was like a short one, and he made a big igloo for us. That's and we used to have a tire swing that he used to push us on. Um, but other than that, I don't remember until we got to Arizona. And in Arizona, I was playing sports with my dad. And while we were playing sports, I was just trying so hard to be so perfect for him, to make him proud. And like soccer too, I played soccer. So he was my soccer coach too. And that's all I remember. But then my dad would get home. And as soon as my dad was home, he would just go into the living room and watch TV. He didn't talk to my mom. So I'd always go in the living room with my dad and just lay down and watch TV. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all we did.
And
But
that's
yeah,
kind of like nice, comforting times though to sit with your dad, and you didn't feel that kind of fulfillment with him that you were trying to get from your mother.
I don't know what I remember specifically. I don't know what I asked her, but my mom had told me. She said, "I'm gonna tell you something that I should have told you a long time ago. You're never gonna please your father." And it was because of a softball game. I remember I was upset or something. I did something in a softball game, and I had went to her and I was like, "Mom, why would I never be good enough for Dad?" That's what it was. I'm like, I'm never gonna be good enough for Dad. Why? Why? Whatever I do is never good enough for him. And she told me, "I'm gonna tell you something now. You'll never please your father. You will never please your father. So stop trying." And I was like, okay. And yeah, so me and my dad started bumping heads, but I would just, if I was going to go out in the living room, I'd be watching TV with him. But it really wasn't, now that I think about it when I'm older, it really was just, he was just pushing me, like, just think it's her, not him, but
Sure, the message was
Yikes!
completely twisted. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
totally
it was
your
her.
mum, the one that you can never make happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. All right. So
So
let's
that's why
go
it's so
back to.
confusing.
Sorry.
Because I'm trying to think back and I'm trying to go back and I'm like, damn, what I remember it wasn't that because of who my mom is. So it's almost like everything that I remember wasn't how I remembered. It's not really like that because
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to say it's my mom, but when I think about how I felt back then, that's not really how I felt. I was towards my dad. I hated my dad. I didn't want to be anything around my dad. So,
Because of what your mum
and I
was
didn't want to
saying.
be around my mom. Yeah. So I was confused. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really why I just sat in the room, my own room. I just stayed in my room. Like as soon as I got home from school, I just went to my room and stayed in my room. Really, I tried to have less interaction as I could.
Okay. So take me back to school. You said the white kids were picking on you, so you made friends more with the black kids and mixed kids at school.
Yeah.
Why were they bullying you? Why didn't you get along with them?
They said because I was so tall, because I was just too loud, because I didn't talk like them, I didn't like the things that they liked. Um, that's really all that I remember. Yeah, I was always the tallest kid, so I always got made fun of a lot for just being so much taller. And then, yeah, that I didn't talk like them, and I didn't like the things that they liked, and I wanted to do more of like, I was a tomboy. I wanted to play sports, but the girls that I was hanging around with were like, ew.
Mm, yeah. So is there a profound like moment where you really remembered that getting bullied one particular time was the most hurtful?
Oh my god, it was so embarrassing. It was when I got my period when I was in fourth grade. No, not fourth
Fourth
grade.
grade.
Fourth grade. That was the worst time ever.
Right.
The worst.
What happened in that situation?
For
Obviously, you had
fourth,
your
fifth?
period, but
No,
what did the kids
sixth.
do?
Like they made fun of me. Like I remember crying a lot of the times and going to the principal's office when I was younger. But when sixth grade, maybe yeah, sixth grade when I got my period, I remember I was just sitting on this bench and I didn't know what it was, and these girls were just making fun. They were saying that I was dying. That's what it was. And she did I remember she did like this palm reading or whatever. She like read my palm and she's like, yeah, see this line right here. And I like really believed her. And like, I really thought I was dying. So I just sat on the bench. And then like, even when the teacher had called us back in, yeah, I didn't even go back in. She didn't even notice that I didn't go back. I stayed
And
out
you're
there.
about sixth grade then.
Yeah, sixth grade.
All right. So you just mentioned that you remember crying a lot when you're younger, even younger. You said, and going to the principal's office. Do you remember anything specific about what bullied you to the point where you cried and went to the office?
I don't remember. I It's probably like the worst interview ever. I know, but I
No,
don't
no, no, it's not
remember
at all.
anything. I
That's
don't
okay.
remember
But
anything but like flashes or like how I felt. I
how
don't
did you
really
feel?
remember.
How did you feel?
Nothing I ever did was right. Nothing I ever did was right. Nothing I ever did was good enough. So I just stopped trying. I was in choir. I remember I was in choir and I hated it, but when I would have, when I was like in plays, like school plays, I remember those. God, I remember trying out for a lot of plays. Like they would have these like plays that would come traveling from town to town or whatever, and you could try out for them. But I really just I did enjoy that. I do remember. I did. I think I don't. Yeah, I did. But I stopped. I would only try something like once. Like I never really stuck with anything. And now that I think about it, I just did it because my mom would always come to my shows, or she would show up and she'd be there. It was
All
like
right.
I had
So
that one. attention. Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was
Yeah, you
like
want
the
the
only
attention
time I
from
ever
your
did
mum.
anything was for the attention. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Because
choir,
you weren't
I
getting
did
it
choir because
anywhere
it was,
else, right?
yeah.
You weren't getting it at home. You weren't getting that attention from your mum. So it's like you're clasping at straws, trying to do whatever you think you can for your mum to be there, support you, love you, and be proud of you. But because
Yeah.
you just weren't getting it. Nothing was good enough. Um, that's
Yeah.
understandable. So what do you remember when you first went to school? You're like, I'm talking younger than these bullying moments, like your first day at school. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
No. Okay.
Uh-uh.
So I'm just testing when I keep going back. I'm not trying to push you to do it. I'm just that you're bringing up some memories now that are probably a little bit younger than what you couldn't remember before. So I'm just testing to see if there's anything around more that you can, draw on. So it's more for yourself to take away rather than for the show. But
I
uh,
remember. I remember fourth grade. I remember when I went to Arizona. My teacher, Miss Alfonso. I remember she was tall like me. She was tall. She was super tall. She ended up giving my mom some clothes, like older clothes that she didn't wear anymore. That her daughter didn't wear anymore because her daughter was tall, like she was too, like I was too. And I remember that. I remember loving. I remember watching the O.J. Simpson trial in fourth grade on the TV. I really didn't understand what was going on, but it was in that class, and I loved that was my teacher. I loved that teacher.
okay, so let's fast forward back to where we were when you were in high school again, and you're hanging around different groups of kids. Um, these kids accepted you a little bit more now. Is that right compared to the white kids that were picking on you?
Um, yeah, the girls, the girls were always so catty. They were always there was like three. There was I don't know. The girls were so catty. The I ended up. I don't really remember that much of that. I don't really remember. Yeah, they were freshman year. I was at one school, which was up the street, Millennium, which was right by my house. And those, and then 16 when I got a boyfriend. But I was like a class clown. I guess you could, no. I was very loud. I could tell you that much. I remember getting in trouble for being loud.
We are Italian, so that's totally understandable. Like we don't talk quiet, do we?
I
So,
know.
all right. So, when was a moment that you first felt accepted? That you first felt that you were like part of something?
Yesterday?
Yesterday.
No, not yesterday. No, the first time that I felt like I was a part of something,
Yeah, like
probably
you were
when I got
accepted.
on stereo. On
Oh, really?
stereo,
Okay.
yeah.
Stereo.
Yeah.
Okay. Which you've
That's the
been
first time.
a profound
Last
person
year?
of the community, I must say. Yeah. No, you have been
Yeah.
since I've jumped on the scene here. Uh, so that's like one of the first times in your life that you felt part of something accepted with some part of a community.
Yeah. Yeah, it was last year.
Okay. So again, going back to high school, then tell me about your first boyfriend. How you met, what happened in the lead up to it, what the feeling was like to be accepted by him at the start. I mean, you must have felt accepted to be partnered with
Um,
him.
well, I had to get the DL because he didn't want anybody to know that. So download, DL is download. I had to be on the
Hmm.
download, so I couldn't tell anybody that me and him were boyfriend and girlfriend. Um, I don't know. He was really cute. He was this black Puerto Rican guy who had braids, and he used to play baseball, and I played softball. So I would always watch him when he was playing his, baseball or whatever. And yeah, that's really he. So we never held hands in class. We never did nothing. Like we had to act like we didn't know each other, and I couldn't tell my mom because he was black, so she didn't know anything of it. But that's That's really, I really don't remember. I mean, that's really it. I knew I was gonna lose my virginity. I lost my virginity to him when I was 16, on
You
my
knew you
16th
were going to
birthday,
lose it to
actually.
him because you were looking
Yeah, I
forward
was
to
like,
it, or because
I was looking forward to it. I was like, I'm gonna. I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm gonna lose my virginity. Like, I just like, I thought it to myself, like, it was, And then on my 16th birthday, I was babysitting. We're house sitting this lady, her house while she was out of town, and that's where we did it. So on my 16th birthday, I ended up sneaking out of my house like I did every night. And yeah, I went to her house with Hiram. That was his name, Hiram. um, yeah, we went to that lady's house. Yeah, that's crazy.
okay, so you said that you're expecting to lose it. You remember thinking about losing your virginity, but you also mentioned that he raped you. So you lost your virginity
Yeah,
through rape. So that
yeah.
kind of like conflicts with what I'm thinking here. I'm thinking like you're ready for it, but then when he does it, you weren't ready. Like what kind of happened there?
Like when me and him were, yeah, like okay, so I was like, okay, I want to do this. This is, I'm kind of excited about doing this. I like him. This is what you have to do to keep a man. Like, this is, if I want him to be my boyfriend, this is what I have to do. And so we went to the lady's house and we started kissing or whatever. We were in the bedroom, and I kept trying to like push him off of me, and he just kept coming at me harder.
So why were you pushing him off you if
He was going too
you?
fast, and he was going
Oh, okay.
too hard, and I was like, okay, slow down, okay, slow down. And every time I tried to get away, he'd like try and pull me closer to him, and I would just be like, okay, well, I'm uncomfortable. I just remember saying that a lot, like, okay, but I'm uncomfortable. And yeah, it didn't matter.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So once this was done, how
I
did you
remember
feel?
I remember right when he had put it in, I was just in so much pain, and I remember him just I remember my face being in the pillow and me just instantly thinking, just let him finish. This is what you have to do. Once he finishes, he can get off of you, and then you can clean yourself up, and you don't have to. Then you can lay with him or do whatever. Just let him finish. And it's like I just disassociated. I guess went to another place in that instant, because the next thing I woke up from falling asleep and he was already gone in another room. And when I tried to go next to him, like to lay with him, he got mad and he ended up just leaving. I don't even know why he got mad, but he did. I don't know. I don't know why he got mad, but yeah, he left. And then I went back into the room, and there was blood all over the sheets and just on the bed, and you could tell, yeah, it was bad. And then so I took the sheets out and I had to stay there and wash all the sheets and make sure everything was spotless, like the house was supposed to be left. And then I had to walk all the way back home. It's back inside the house.
And what was your next conversation with him like after that night?
That night, I mean, after I walked back home, I didn't talk to, well, I walked back home. I snuck back inside of my house, and yeah, I felt like, I don't know. I don't even know. I didn't talk to him until I went back to school. And when I went back to school and when I would try to go up to him, he wasn't very nice. He was very mean. He started just, you know what? He started hitting. That's what he did. Oh my God, I haven't thought about this. I'm 35. He used to hit me.
Before or after?
He's before, before, before.
Um, so you had trouble obviously distinguishing what a right relationship or wrong relationship might be. You kind of had no encouragement along the way from your folks to determine that, and maybe their relationship wasn't the best display for you to make those choices off what you'd witnessed as you were growing up. But did your mum or dad ever get physical with each other?
No, no. Mm-mm.
So what made you hang around someone that was hitting you at such a young age as your first boyfriend, and you still felt like this is? You remember that you were going to lose your virginity to him. Like what was your frame of thought there?
I wasn't, oh my God. I wasn't good enough for him. And I was making him mad. And if I could just do the right things. If I could just do the right things, then he wouldn't hit me. So I let him treat me any way. I would carry like go to his locker or clean out his. He was very nice.
I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit and say that even though you never witnessed any like physical violence between your parents, your mum was like emotionally bashing you, and you kept thinking you were wrong, made you feel like you were not good enough, and with him physically hitting you, you kind of had those same feelings, and you were trying to I don't know, win his, like, air quotes, win his respect or win him over in a way like that you can do the right thing to make him happy.
Yeah. I remember this cop. Yeah, he gave me a black eye. Yeah, he was a very nice. The security guard. I haven't thought about this shit. Every time after school, I would stay. He would just hit me. The security guard had caught him one time in the car. Called the police. And that's when my mom found out. I had to get a restraining order on him and everything too. I haven't remembered that so long.
Are you okay to continue?
Yeah, I haven't remembered that since it happened. I can't remember. I totally forgot about that. He wasn't nice to me at all. And I feel like the only reason why I wanted to have sex was because I thought that's what he wanted. And if I did that, then I would keep him there. He would stay with me.
Okay. So, restraining order goes on this guy. How do you feel once that's placed? Are you scared, relieved, happy?
Um, um, I got to switch schools.
Because of that
I
moment?
got to I got to switch schools. Like finally, I was able to. Oh my God! I remember I wanted to switch schools so bad, so bad. I wanted to switch schools, but my mom wouldn't let me. And it was like a relief that finally now I can switch schools. I wanted to get away from him for a while. I'm sorry.
No, take your time. It's all good. I'm sorry if this
Now
is
that I
making
think
you
about it,
super upset.
it's okay. I haven't thought about this far back. I haven't. I just know that I wanted to switch schools so bad, but my mom wouldn't let me switch schools because I wanted to get away from him. And then when that shit happened, and the security guard had seen him doing, hitting me and pushing me inside the car, he intervened and the cops got involved. And then once the restraining order went into effect, then I got to switch schools finally. And I
Who gave you that
switched
option? Was it your
schools.
mum then? Your mum realize that it was time to switch schools, or was it the school that suggested it?
No, I had to. The school had suggested because my mom had to come pick me up from school, and that's when she found out that I had a boyfriend, and she yelled at me, and I just remember sitting in the principal's office and her telling me like it's okay. So I don't remember what she was telling me. I just know my mom had to come pick me up from school. I just was dreading her coming, but when she came, oh Jesus Christ. The school was like, yeah, because Hiram wasn't going to switch schools, so because it was his senior year, so he was just gonna finish out his senior year there.
So
And
you
so
you were
yeah,
16, and how old was he?
he was a senior.
Sorry, I'm from Australia. Is that like 18?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was 16. He was 18. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the recovery from this after that happened? So restraining order goes on. You've moved schools. You're emotionally going through some heavy shit. You haven't got your mum to talk to. You're experiencing pain. You've just been raped and have to keep it to yourself. Your boyfriend's been hitting you. Uh, there's a lot of mixed emotions. Could you talk to anybody at all?
No, no. But the first time I've ever, just right now, I haven't. No, um, no. My mom tried putting me in counseling. I don't know how old I was when she tried to do it. And I went and I didn't. I don't remember. I really did. I don't remember what happened with me and her. But all I remember is my mom grabbing my hand and we left quickly. She was just like, "Come on, we have to go." And I'm like, "But why?" She was like, "Because the doctor said you're too fucked up. She can't fix you."
She pulled
And
you
I
out
don't
of the
know.
counselling saying that.
Yeah. No, I was. I went. I know I went to talk to him for her. I don't remember what it was first, and then I was waiting in the waiting room because my mom had to go in after me. I don't know if that was a counselor. Yeah, it was a counselor. I think it was. And then my mom said, "Yeah, we have to go. He said you're too fucked up. He can't fix you." And I was like, "But what?" I just remember being like, "But why?" I never went back, so I don't. Maybe I don't know why she took me there.
Normally, I'd wait to the end of these shows to sort of go back and say some certain things, but I want to just intercept right now and say that everything that your mum's telling you about other people and yourself, and you'll never make your dad happy and you're too fucked up. I don't know if you realized before until right now that that's her in her head, not realizing that she's the one that's too fucked up. She's the one that will never make your dad happy. She's the one that when she pushes onto other things, it's never her fault because she's narcissistic. Um, so all these moments that you're going to relive, maybe when we're talking about for the rest of the podcast, I just hope that the penny drops that even though you realize that your mum has caused a lot of damage here along the way, uh, that these things that she's saying to you as a young child was really her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wish I would have known it then, not now.
Of course, but how are you to know when you're a child and you haven't lived life yet? She is, and she's unfairly putting this on you. So I just want to say that now, so that as you're going through things as a child, you can you should re-experience the moment when you're telling it, but then also realize at the same time instead of having to go back and think about it again. But all right, so your mum took
So
to the
no, I didn't
doctors.
talk to nobody. I didn't talk to nobody up to answer your question. No, I haven't been talking to nobody. All this shit has happened. I have talked to nobody. No.
Right. So that time that you did see that counselor doctor or that session, do you remember how that went for you? Did you remember any details of that? No.
I don't even remember. No, I don't. I don't even know how old I was, or I don't even know how I got there, or what. For some reason, my mom put me on medication for depression. I don't remember why did she do
She put
that.
you on?
Yeah,
Did it?
there was some reason for some whatever I can't remember why she. But I remember crying in class, uh, and calling her while I was crying in class. My head was in between my arms and crying. And I remember begging her to come pick me up, to please come pick me up. I wanted out of this class. She didn't do it. She said it was because of the medicine. Don't. I think she put me on medicine after Hiram. Did she? I don't remember. I don't remember. I just remember feeling her telling me that it was because of the medicine, and that's why I'm depressed, or that's why I'm really low, and I just have to let the medicine work or something like that. But I don't. I was at the new school when that happened, so she must have taken me to counseling over the summer.
All right. So what was it like when you went to the new school then? So it's a whole new bunch of friends. You're about 16 years old. Do you slip straight into society there, or is there any repeating problems that happen there as well?
No, I did ROTC. I was in ROTC, which is like for the military. I wanted to be in the military, because I could leave the house right away. Um, I was in drama class. I remember that. Uh, now that I think about it, Jesus Christ. Just because I was away from Hiram, it was better. Yeah, it was. I didn't have to look over my shoulder all the yeah. I'd have to
Did
look
you
over my shoulder all the time.
did you
And I
get
could actually like,
picked on or bullied?
no, I wasn't no, I was a hoe. I mean, I was a slut. I was having sex with, every guy, and didn't matter if he had a girlfriend or not. Like, I was um very sexually active. I just remember using my sex, like using like sex to get any guy. Like, just that's really what I was in focus of sex. Sex was all that mattered to me then.
Okay, so after such a terrible experience, what just happened? Um, After a terrible experience that happened with your first sexual encounter, what made you sexually active after that? Using sex as a tool to get guys to
Yeah.
get the attention to feel better.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
were you worried about like something bad
Yeah.
happening again the next time?
Well, the very first time I lost my virginity, Hiram, oh, that's what it was. Hiram ended up giving me NST. He gave me chlamydia. And because that happened, because all that shit happened, my mom was like, "What are you, sexually active now?" I remember her yelling at me, saying it specifically like that. And I had to tell her yes. And then that's when she took me to the doctor to put me on birth control. And because she didn't want me to get pregnant. So she put me on birth control, and I wasn't taking it because it was a pills back then, and then it was a patch or something like that. So I wasn't taking it right. So she was still worried about it. Um, yeah, I did. I don't remember. That's yeah. It was yeah. I didn't care. I didn't care. Um, yeah, I didn't care. I was sucking dick and fucking every guy that would give me attention. Any guy that would meet up with me from a party line, anything. That's all I was focused on, was having sex with guys. Now that I think
Okay.
about it, that's all I did.
So you start getting attention from guys with sex, things like that. So how's that starting to make you feel?
I don't. I guess useful. Like, I felt like I mattered. Yeah, that I mattered. That somebody liked me. Somebody wanted me. That's what I wanted. That somebody wanted me.
Okay, so
I thought that's. Yeah,
go ahead.
I just. I yeah, that's. I wanted to be wanted.
Okay.
That's what I had to keep them around. Like, yeah, that's what you had to do. That's what they wanted. So, do it.
Yeah. So we'll pause on that just for a moment, and we'll revisit it in a second. But let's skip back to your home life then. So this is all kind of happening with you personally, with your sex life and attention from guys and so forth. What's happening back at home with your mum? Relationship, is it still bad? How are things with your dad at this point?
I don't remember.
And what about your grandparents?
I was still going to my grandparents' house. Yeah, uh, I
started getting, what did I do? I was still going to my grandparents' house on the weekends and, just watching TV. And I didn't go out anywhere. I stayed at my grandparents, I just stayed with them. We'd rent movies, but I just, yeah. And then I would go back home on Sunday and then sleep and then have to go to school. So that's literally how my life was. Yeah. But my mom, I couldn't play sports that year when I had switched schools, because when you switch schools, you have to like take a year off or something like that. So my junior year, I couldn't play sports. So my dad wasn't involved, and my mom, I don't remember. I just remember going to my grandparents' house all the time. I don't remember.
All right. So, what about your relationship with your siblings at this age? Were you guys close? Um, were you not? Was there a favorite sibling that you turned to more?
Me and my sister used to be close, I think. Well, me and my sister used to sleep in the same bedroom. And then when what did we? Um, Me and my sister used to be close. No, we didn't. I don't know. I don't remember. In high school, I don't remember. I never talked to my brothers and sisters. My sister was always out doing what she wanted to do, or having her friends over, or doing something. And my brothers were younger, but they didn't have any friends. Like, they stayed with my mom, or yeah, they stayed with my mom. Like, no, I didn't hang around with my brothers and sisters that often. No, I was no, because I didn't want to be at home, so I go to my grandparents' house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you stay in school and finish school, or what did you just kind of aspire to be at that point in time? You know, you're sort of tailing off towards the end of your high school, and having to hit the workforce soon. What were your thoughts about having to go to work and do things?
I remember I wanted to be an actress. That's what I wanted to do. The very first time I ever thought about what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I wanted to be an actress. And I was in junior year. And my mom said, let's think of something more realistic. Let's actually think of something you could actually do. And then I quit drama. And then I started doing ROTC then. And I wanted to do the military. But I
Okay,
ended up oh my God. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, was just join the military.
and you never made it there.
I ended up getting suspended in junior year for 2 weeks for sucking dick on the bus. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. I don't want to hear it.
So like, someone dubbed you in, or a teacher saw that?
Yeah, no, the girl, it was a school bus, bruh. The school
Yeah,
bus home. Yeah, the girls behind me, like the guy that I was sucking dick, and they told on me. And so the principal pulled the camera. Like, there's cameras on the school bus.
damn.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it.
So
And
okay,
then,
so
after that,
you're
I don't know.
yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. I was going to say you're sleeping around at this point in time. You're suspended from school. I take it your mum was probably pretty pissed at that.
Oh yeah, because she was a teacher. Yeah, she taught
Oh, she
kids
was a
that they
teacher.
had a hard time reading. Yeah, so she told me that she can't trust me at home by myself. So if I think I'm gonna sleep in on my suspension, so every morning I'd have to get up for those 2 weeks, and I'd have to go to school with her while she taught her kids. And because she would teach the kids that she was an assistant teacher for, like, the kids that English was their second language.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a teacher's assistant, so I had to go to school with her when she did the crosswalk. And yes, for those 2 weeks were miserable, bro.
And then you mentioned that you were married at 18 years old. So what happened
I
there?
got married
Who's the guy?
I met him online on blackplanet.com, like I said, my senior year of high school, because that's what it was. I was flunking. In junior year, I was failing. I was failing every class. I was flunking out. I didn't. I was, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I was failing. So when I went into my senior year, I ended up meeting this guy online. He was in Afghanistan fighting the war, and No, I met him in junior year, end of junior year. Or the summer in between junior and senior year. He was in Iraq, and I would just talk to him online. And I would just, but because he told me he wouldn't marry me unless I graduated high school, unless I graduated and I could legally move out, he wasn't going to marry me. So I buckled down then, and I started not caring about anything else but being able to graduate so I can get the fuck out of the house. And then he took me to my prom and everything.
Okay. And how long were you married for then?
Till I was 21.
And what was that relationship like?
He was an asshole. He's very, I remember he always wanted to have sex all the time. This is going to sound so bad, but his dick was so huge and it hurt so bad. I remember that. And that's all I really remember from him. And he was in the military. So he was, he had just gotten back from the war. He just wasn't really nice. He was very, very concerned about my weight. He'd always tell me, like, you know, I need to start going to the gym. I need to start working out. I need to start caring about my body. So he was very, very, like, just that's all I remember is just him constantly ragging on me, like how fat I am and how I need to start going to the gym and taking care of my body. And yeah, I hated having sex with him. And he just started going out and having sex with other people while I was at home. But I didn't want to go. I didn't have anywhere else to go. Where else was I going to go? So I just put up with it.
Well, he told you he was going to go and do that, or you? How did you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He told me all the time. He would leave for weeks at a time. Go stay over there.
All right. So what were you sort of doing as a job at this age?
I didn't work. He didn't let me work. Actually, you know what? I haven't even thought about his dickhead in years. Yeah, he didn't let me. What the fuck? He's an asshole. He didn't let me work. He said I didn't have to. I just had to make sure that the house stayed clean.
Right.
So I didn't work. But
how old were you when you started working then?
I was working when I was 16. I got a job. I got fired from it for some reason. I don't remember. I was watching kids. I don't remember why I got fired, but I did. And then I worked. My mom got me fired. Why did my mom get me fired? I don't know, but why did she get me fired? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why she got me fired. It's going to take me too long to figure it out. And then I started doing like fast food. And then after that, when I was with Ronald, I worked at the PX. That's what it was. I don't remember if we finally got in an argument or something. I kept having to ask him for money. That's what it was. I kept having to ask him for money because he wouldn't give me any money. He would leave for weeks at a time and I'd be stuck inside the house. And I wouldn't have food or I wouldn't have anything. And I remember, oh my, what a fucking dickhead, bro.
Okay.
I haven't thought about this shit. I blocked it out. I haven't. Wow. Yeah, that motherfucker used to leave me in the house with no food, no phone, no nothing, bro. I would just, it was miserable. So I told him that I wanted to get a job because I wanted to have my own money so I didn't have to keep asking him for money. And it was at the PX.
So that's what happened. You got a job then?
Mm-hmm. I snuck to I went to the library. I remember oh wow, that's a long walk. Whew. We lived on Post. And I remember walking to the library and asking them this little old lady. Asking her, how do I get a job? I was so naive. I was like, can I get a job and that's really close that I can walk to? And she, oh, it's so sad.
Okay.
I didn't.
So, so you started working at that point, and what job did you do then? And is that how it helped you leave him?
Yeah, I remember that little lady helped me. She sat with me next to the computer. We filled out job applications and and I got a job at the PX, which for the return department when people would return shit. And then that's when I started talking to more people. My manager was nice, and yeah, I started saving money, hiding it from him. Oh, that's what it was. Hiram used to take all my money. I remember that.
What was that? Sorry.
Yeah, and that's what now. Yeah, wow. Hiram used to take all my money from me working when I was younger. And then when I got married and Ronald was doing it, I hid it from Ronald, and Ronald would find it and he would take it too. So
Okay.
I felt stuck, like I couldn't go anywhere because it kept taking all my money. No wonder I hate fucking money.
You're married and out of home now, and your relationship with your folks, I'm going to keep checking in on that along the way, is it not very good? Is it better because you're not around all the time to cop the abuse from your mum? What was that like? Was she angry at you for getting married and moving out?
I didn't talk to her. I didn't have anything to do with her.
Non-existent. And with your dad?
Nope, didn't talk to him either.
But your grandparents?
My grandpa did. My grandpa, that's what's up, Papa. My grandpa did. I talked to my grandpa. I talked to my grandpa all the time. He was the only person I kept in touch with grandpa.
And why not your grandmother?
I don't remember. My grandma was like kind of like. My grandma was like my mom, but she wasn't like my mom. If that makes sense. Well, it is her mom, so it does make sense. But at the time, I don't know. I just didn't want to piss Nani off. Like my papa. Oh my God, he was so awesome. He would tell me all these stories that he, used to go. Him and his mom used to work with this I don't remember, this rich family that had slaves, and he said he remembers going into the fields and eating. Like my grandpa is very loving and very accepting of everything and anything, and it didn't matter what color you were, it didn't matter what I was doing, as long as he knew I was okay, he was gonna love me anyways. Like my grandpa was very, very adamant on that, and so yeah, he was the only one that I knew I could call and I wouldn't be judged for not talking to him for a couple months, or I wouldn't get yelled at for, whatever. I didn't feel like I had to be something or act a certain way in order to talk to him, if that makes sense. Like I could just tell my grandpa what really was going on, and no matter what it was, he wasn't going to be like, oh my God, why did you fuck up again? And my grandpa didn't care.
Okay.
My grandpa was the homie.
So let's just stop for a second and just do a little quick comparison. So if you had to compare your grandfather and your father as a type of man, how would you make a comparison with the two of them together? Similar or very different? What traits were they kind of like similar and opposite in?
No, my grandpa was very vocal. My dad he didn't say I love you, but it's actually, now that I'm at this age, I can tell you that he was always there. Just I felt like I needed him to tell me that he loved me, and I used to hate him for not being able to say that I love you, kid, or I love you. Like when I was younger, he never said that, so that's why I hate him so much too, was because he never said that, and that's all. I needed him to say I love you. And then my grandpa would tell me he loved me all the time. My grandpa, he was very, I don't know. Yeah, he was very, I mean, he would tell me he loved me all the time. Like my grandparents always told me they loved me all the time. I remember that being very important. And my grandpa, he, I don't know how else, like he let me do whatever I wanted to do so long as I kept him in the loop. That was our deal. And he took it to the grave too. The motherfucker died and didn't tell my grandma shit. He did. He didn't. My grandpa let me do whatever I wanted. Like he as long as I checked in with him. Like when I was at their house, like I would leave in the middle of the night. I would go out and get drunk or something, and my grandpa didn't care so long as I either just went to the park that was up the street or I stayed in the front of the house. He wouldn't tell my grandma, and he would just he would flick the light, and that means I had to come inside. So yeah, my grandpa was allowing me to be a kid. Now that I think about it. And just within boundaries.
Sure. And if you had to make that same sort of comparison then between your grandmother and your mother, how would you make that comparison? As in
Um,
similar traits or opposite traits?
mm, you know, my grandma, whenever I would complain about because I remember complaining about my mom a lot to my grandma. My grandma would always be like, "That's your mother. You know she loves you. That's your mother, miss. That's your mother. Come on now, that's your mother. You can't say that." Um, and then, but I was like spoiled. Like my mom would always say, like, you just go over there because they spoil you. But now that I think about it, like my grandma, like I would lay down with my head on, like she had this rocking chair that she would sit in while we watched movies because we'd always rent a movie, and I got to pick it out. And then this is back in the Blockbuster days. So I would put my head on like the arm thing while she was rocking, and she would take her nails and she would just like, just re-rubbing my head and just, running her nails down my neck and playing with my ear. You know what I mean? Like just really relaxing. And I just remember doing that all the time. I used to take her hand and just put it on my head. So my grandma never, I don't know. She did tell me she loved me too. My grandma always told me she loved me. She'd always say that I was her favorite. And so yeah, but my mom, yeah, no. So were they complete opposite? I want to say that the only thing that was different between them two was I didn't feel the way that I felt with my mom, with my grandma. No, maybe I did, but my grandpa was the reason why I kept going over there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because my grandma, we
Yeah.
have to hide it from my grandma. Because my grandpa would always be like, I don't want to listen to your grandma, bitch. I don't want to hear it. So hurry up and just do what you want to do. Just come back home or don't go too far. Let me know. You just tell me the truth. And then we'll figure out what to tell grandma. So, because my grandma ruled the roost.
Well, that's actually one of my next questions is what was the relationship between your grandmother and your grandfather with each other that you could see as a child growing up?
uh, my grandpa loved my grandma. And for some, whatever. I remember my grandpa used to write my grandma letters. I think that actually is, now that I think about it. Jesus fucking Christ. I haven't thought about this shit in years, bruh. I've never thought about this shit, but my grandpa used to write letters to my grandma. So that's why I started writing letters to my mom. My grandpa, I don't remember what my grandpa did. I don't know. I can't, this will take me too long to try and figure it out. But my grandpa had done something and he had to write this letter to my grandma. And my grandma started showing me all these love letters that my grandpa would write her. And my grandpa was afraid that he was going to lose my grandma. I don't remember what for, but he really was afraid that my grandma was going to leave him. So he had to write her these letters and express how much he loved her. I don't remember what it was for, but my mom says that my grandpa was a drunk when he was young, or when she was younger, and he was really, really, really abusive. That's not the grandpa I know because he never did. Yeah, by the time he got sober when my mom was younger. He ended up getting sober and didn't have to drink alcohol for the rest of his life, but there were some years there that so I always thought that maybe he was trying to make up for those years, like he was abusive to my grandma and my mom, but no, it was recent. I don't know. So their relationship was like she couldn't hear him. He would sit in the computer room and she would just watch movies, and they didn't really. My grandpa was very affectionate towards her. He would grab her butt or try and kiss her and tell her, "You're not gonna give me," like they were very affectionate. That I seen them being affectionate with each other. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I never seen my parents affectionate ever like that.
All right. And last one about these sort of questions for now is that what was your mum's relationship with her parents, her mum and her dad individually?
my mom and my mom Well, my grandma's always, we always went to my grandma. My mom was always, I don't know, what did she do with Nani? She really wasn't she just listened to my mom, my Nani. Like I don't really remember. Like my mom would drop me off and that was it. Like I don't really remember them. I was always over there, so my mom didn't go over there.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really remember that. I don't really remember how they interacted. I don't remember. I don't. I don't remember seeing them interact at all. As a matter of fact, I don't. That's weird. I don't. And
No,
her
it's
and
all
my
good.
grandpa? Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm, I don't know. You know what? I don't know. My grandpa would always be the peacekeeper. I do remember my grandpa always having to be the peacekeeper. Like, that was, I don't remember. I don't remember. Don't even remember her. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't remember her relationship with my grandpa at all. I don't remember. It would take me too long. I'd actually have to sit with it and start thinking of, like, now that I'm talking about it. And that's why I love stereo so much, because I haven't thought about this shit in 30 fucking years, bro. And now that I'm thinking, I'm like, why don't I remember? But it would take me too long to fucking figure it out. I don't remember, but off the top of my head, I don't remember them interacting. I thought it was just because I was over there all the time.
Sure. Well, at least after this show's finished at the end, I encourage you at some point to go back and listen to it, and then you can pause at the moments and try to come up with these things that you can't remember. If it takes you time, then take the time if you can. It's all kind of like therapeutic in a way to like resurface it and understand it from an adult perspective compared to what was happening as a child. You know, you've got a different perspective now that you're older compared to when you were young. So it'd just be kind of nice to figure that out and put it to bed properly, because even though you might not be thinking about it all the time, it's the first time you've thought about it in years. You've kind of buried it and blocked it for whatever reason. You know, like there's a lot
I
of
haven't blocked it all,
mental
yeah.
blocks going on. A lot of mental blocks. You know. So, but anyway, all right. So, what another question I didn't ask you before I was meant to, and I got a little sidetracked, is that when you gave your mum that letter and slid it under her door that time that you were cutting yourself,
Yeah.
what was her reaction from receiving the letter? And was it brushed off? Did she go into it a little bit more? And how did you feel
She didn't do anything
after
about
that?
it. She didn't say anything about it. Nothing. She put it in her drawer. And she calls it her hate letter. I wrote more than just one. As a matter of fact, I kept writing numerous ones. And she never said anything about it. And nothing. And I ended up coming across the letters in her drawer. And she was like, yeah, I kept all your hate letters. They're all right there. And that's all that I remember of that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's all I remember.
All right. Let's fast forward back to where we were leaving off before about you split up with your husband at 21 years old and you had a job. What starts to happen from there?
I ended up, he was getting deployed to Spain. We had to go to, I got all my passport, I got everything all situated, but I just didn't want to go with him. I didn't want to go all the way to a new country with this asshole. Like, so I was talking to another guy on the internet. I met him on the internet, and I didn't want to leave him, and I didn't want to go to fucking Spain. I didn't. What did I do? I did something. I don't remember what I did, but I got his sergeant to take me off his orders. What the fuck did I do? I don't remember. I did something where I got his sergeant to take me off his orders, so I didn't have to go to Spain with him. So we left the house. We didn't sell the house. We got out of the house because we lived on post, and then I went back to my grandparents' house.
And that was
And
it. You were done with him then.
yeah, I was done with it. Yeah, he went to Spain, and I didn't talk to him, and I ended up getting divorce papers served at my grandma's house.
Okay. And what happens in life from there? What's like, where did you turn? What did you do? You're back at grandma's. What's the next step?
I was back at my grandma's, and then I was just, again, I was with another guy. I had so many, I can't even express to you how many boyfriends I had because I was having sex so much. And I was, Jesus Christ, I started working. I worked at Walgreens. I used to work at the photo department, and I started developing film, and ended up saving up my money. Did I save my money? I don't remember. Somehow I got an apartment. Oh, that's what it was. When I got a divorce, I was getting alimony. That's what it was. I was getting alimony, so I was getting paid, and I saved up the money, and I ended up moving out of my grandparents' house, and into my own apartment. And I don't, and then the alimony stopped. Yeah, that's what it was. I started working at Walgreens, and then I had a boyfriend at the time, and then, oh my God, this is gonna sound so bad, but he actually lived with me. This guy that I met off the internet was living with me in my grandparents' house in my room, but my grandparents didn't know.
No. How do you
I
hide something
didn't
like
know
that?
because my grandma was.
Vanessa, I was sweeping under your bed and I found a man under there today. Do you want to explain?
No.
How do you hide? How do you hide a boyfriend in your room at your grandmother's house?
Well, I would meet these guys online, and I would have them come over in the middle of the night, and they would sneak in through the window, and this one he just never left. He just stayed with me. PJ, oh, he was on here. We did a show. I love PJ to death. He ended up staying with me. Yeah, he just never left. So every time, like I would lock the door, and then I stayed in my room, and I would stay with him all day. And my grandparents, because they couldn't hear. Well, my grandma was hard of hearing, and I'm pretty sure my grandpa was too. But anyway, so I'd lock my door, and then whenever they would come, he would just jump out the window really quick, and he would just sit right there. But they never bothered me. Like my grandparents just let me do whatever. They didn't bother me. So yeah, and then I was working, and I would leave him there inside the room. And I remember times when he would call me like, "Your grandpa's trying to get in the room," and I would be like, "What are you talking about?" And I'd have to call the house phone to try to distract my grandpa from. He would get so mad because I locked my room. He'd be like, "God damn it, miss, you locked your room door again." I'm like, "It's all right, Papa. I'll figure out how to open it when I get back home. Don't worry about it." And he's like, "All right." So they just. So it was like for 6 months. I'm telling you. And then my grandparents would go out on the weekends. Like they would go out to like the mall with their friends, and I stopped going. I would just stay at the house. So when they would leave to the mall, that's when he would get out and take a shower and, kind of whirl him around the house. Oh my gosh. They never found out. That's so hilarious. Yikes.
All right,
But so
so
then that's really what pushed me to get my own apartment, because we wanted to be in our own apartment.
so then you get your own apartment. You're living with this guy for how long? How long was he in your life for?
I
Together.
ended up talking him because he was in the streets a lot. And I ended up talking him into the military. So that's what he did. So we had the apartment for maybe like 6 months, like until he went back to, he went into the military. He went to boot camp.
And your relationship was done or still together?
We were still together in a sense. Like I was working and what the hell's wrong with my lighter now? I was working, and my best friend Vanessa from high school. It was actually the guy that I sucked his dick on the bus. Oh God. And I got caught. As a matter of fact, he had a girlfriend, and I didn't know he had a girlfriend. And everybody kept telling me, "Oh my God, when Vanessa gets back to school," because she had gotten suspended for beating this other girl up that was bigger than me. They were like, "She's about to whoop your ass. That's her boyfriend." I was so scared. And I just remember approaching her like, "Look," when she finally came back, I was like, "I didn't know that was your boyfriend. I had no idea that he had a girlfriend. He didn't tell me." She was like, "What? What are you talking about? I'm not even tripping." She's like, "I'm not doing that shit. At least somebody is." And then from that day forward, when we were inseparable. Like all through we were bestest of friends. Like I was like, "Really? You're not mad at me?" She's like, "Fuck no. At least somebody's doing it. I'm not. She was perverted. She didn't have sex, so she didn't care. So I was with her. We were
Right.
inseparable. And what happened was when he went to boot camp, I ended up running into her when she was pregnant. She was pregnant with her second child at the time, and so she ended up moving in with me, and then yeah, me and her had it, and that's when I met my pimp. I was his supervisor at my job. I used to work for AT&T, the warranty exchange department at the call center.
Right, and he worked too.
You said what?
And he worked there as well?
Yeah, he worked there. He actually, yeah, I was his supervisor. Yeah, I was his supervisor, and we were writing emails back and forth on the company computer and the company email. Nasty emails.
And he was a pimp while he was working there, or he wasn't a pimp at the time?
No, he wasn't. But what it was, there was another girl that he was talking to at the same time as I was, um, and I just wanted his attention. So I was just, he was hitting me. Oh God, he was a dickhead, bro.
He was hitting you.
He was very, but yeah, he was beating the shit out of me, like literally beating the crap out of me. No matter what I don't even know why he would start flipping out.
He beat the crap. Like, I had black. This is when I had 2 black eyes, and Jesus Christ. I went home. And I had 2 black eyes. Yikes. Yeah, I didn't go home that time. No, I didn't go home. I had 2 black eyes. I remember on Christmas, because PJ had came back from boot camp, and at that time, we had moved to another apartment, and me and Vanessa, and then he had his name was Dominic. Dominic had a gun, and I don't remember why he was so pissed this time, but he just basically beat the shit out of me with his gun. I just remember him hitting me in the face. That's what gave me 2 black eyes. And then yeah, I was kind of, Vanessa was like, I can't have this around the girls. Like, I have 2 kids now, or no, she only had 1. That's what it was. She said, I didn't want it around Nevaeh at the time. That's what it was. Nevaeh was seeing him putting his hand, like, he was just abusive. I don't know how to else to, he just fucking dickhead, bro. Dragging me around, just kicking me and just throwing me inside, just bad. And she was like, I don't want my, Nevaeh to see this. So that ended up like put me closer to him. So once the work caught on to us writing emails back and forth, and they fired us. And once they fired us, he blamed me, of course, and he beat the shit out of me. And oh god, it was miserable.
Thank you, Red
And
Rose.
I don't even know how or why I started doing it, but he would tell me all the time, like, how much money you could make because you're white. You could just make all this money. He basically was grooming me, but I can't. It would take me too long to figure out when it started. But he was the one that was telling me how much money I could make if I was to go out there and just walk the street and just have these guys pick me up and just, I can make all this money. I'm giving it away for free. I might as well just charge. I was like, what?
What was that? What did you realize at the time? Like, I can't believe he said that, or that's a good idea?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that earlier? Because I was having sex with all these guys, and I was like, I hate having sex with these guys. I hate it. But at least I can get some money out of it. Like, shit.
Well, that's one question I hadn't asked along the way was like, when you're having sex with these guys, what kind of, I know it was kind of used as a tool to get them, right, so to speak, for lack of better words, but what emotion were you feeling along the way with having sex with these guys?
I hated it. I wanted to get pregnant. I remember that being very adamant. And I wanted to get pregnant. That's the only reason why I was having sex, is because I was hoping I was going to get pregnant, and I never did. That's the only reason why I was having sex with them, because I wanted to get pregnant to have a kid so I could have something to love. Yikes! I can't believe I just said that. Like, wow. Yep. It's true, and I can't believe I just said it, but it's true. Sad.
I mean, we're just calling things how they are. That's how you felt. That's how you felt. There's no shame in it. It's just that's how you felt.
Yeah, that's how I was. I just wanted to get pregnant. I hated having sex. I hated it. I hated having sex with all of the guys, but I just wanted to get pregnant so bad. So I had a reason for them to stay, and that I had something to love. Yeah.
Right. So, if you hated having sex, was it just an emotionless thing, or was it grossing you out?
It was just, ugh. I was only doing it because I never got off. I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I just did it because that's what they wanted me to do. That's how I knew to get their attention. I knew that if I was going to have sex with them or suck their dick, they would pay attention to me. Like, I would make them happy. So that's what they wanted. And then when they would finish, I felt, oh, cool. Like, I did something right. Like, wow, that's so sad.
Right.
Yeah, that's why. I never finished. I never enjoyed it. It wasn't about me. It was about them. I just wanted to do something to make them happy. Like, okay, well, I know how to do this. And it was disgusting. I didn't like, oh my God. As a matter of fact, there was a girl that used to work. She worked at I don't remember where I was working at the time. I had a crush on this. I liked this girl. It's going to take me too long to figure it out. All I remember is my mom caught me kissing, because she took me home one day. She walked me up the door,
and she went to kiss me, and my mom seen it, and she reamed me to hell, telling me, yeah, I'm disgusted. Yeah, it was horrible. I had to confess my sins, all of my sins to her. Like, I just remember her just yelling at me because it was so disgusting. She's like, it's such an embarrassment, and I'm only doing it for attention. I need to stop. And that was the only thing that I remember that I liked. Other than that, yeah, no.
So
Yeah.
what was that like? I mean, are you bisexual, or were you just experimenting at the time? And like, what was the emotion like towards a woman compared to a man?
My girlfriend, my roommate now, she it wasn't she just a couple months ago, she just finally looks at me, she just snaps, she was like, you know what, you're a fucking raging lesbian, you're gonna download. I don't remember what we were talking about. She's like, it's time that you see it. And I just kind of stepped back, and I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, oh, I'm tired of hearing. She's like, you. And then she was like, here, do this now, tell me how you like. And it was the first time that somebody threw in my face, like, my actions and like what I was saying and how I was acting, because I just never enjoyed sex with guys. Like, I don't remember I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, like, I was always shut down, because I don't remember, but I remember bringing it up somehow, some way, to my mom always just telling me I was doing it for attention. I just wanted attention. I wanted to be liked by everyone, even if it was girls. I just wanted attention. So it was kind of like, I remember coming to her saying things. Jesus Christ. I am. Talk about National Coming Out Today. I am. One hell of a way to find out. Finally say that you are gay, but not. But however, I just remember I remember bringing it up quite often, and my mom just saying that. So it kind of just, in a way, made, yeah, I felt dirty for doing it. I felt like I was just doing it for attention. I felt like, yeah. So now that I think about it, I just kept having sex with all these guys just because I thought that's what was going to make me straight, I guess you could say. Yeah. This is the first for me to say this out loud. Yeah.
Okay.
I was having sex with all the guys. Yeah. Because I felt like that was, so I felt like that would make me, like, that's what I had to do, right? Just have sex with guys and get pregnant and have a kid and, live happily ever after with the family. And that's what you do, right? But that's not what I wanted. So if I was going to have sex with these guys, and my pimp told me, you can get money, I was like, fucking shit. At least I get some money out of it.
Okay. So let's go down that track now. Start telling me your first experience with prostitution, your pimps telling you about making money, and then how did it work? How did that come together?
Well, we lost our job. Once we lost our job, I needed to make money because he wouldn't stay around. If I didn't have money to give him, like, then he wasn't going to come around. So once I lost my job, then he was like, well, then if you want to do this, then, and he just told me, he took me down to the track. Actually, he knew a guy that had a girl out there. And so they took me down to the track, and they drove around on the track and showed me where all the girls were. And told me, the girl came in the car, I remember, and she just told me how easy it was. Just, you stand here, get in the car with them, they give you the money, da, da, da. They told me the whole process. And I was like, well, that's easy enough. I could do that. That's not that hard. And he was just, I just remember thinking like, okay, well, he's going to stay, because so long as I'm doing that, then he'll stay. Like, he's not going to leave me and go back to that other girl. He'll stay with me. And so I went out there the first night on the track, and I was on one side of the street, he was on the other side of the street. And yeah, I just did it. I just did it. Like the girls told me to do it. I just jumped in the car and took him to a place. Like he told me what to do. Take him down a side street. You don't want the cops to get you, because if the cops get you, you're gonna get arrested. You're gonna get taken away from me. Da 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 da. Wow. Let me not say da 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 da, because now it's making sense. You're gonna get taken away from me. I can't get you out because I don't have any money. So I didn't want to go to jail. So I was like, okay, so yeah, the first car, I knew it was going to pick me up because it did exactly what he said it was going to do. And this first car, I was just walking down the street, and the first car pulled down the street, and I kind of looked, and he turned off his lights. And then that's when I knew he wanted to pick me up. So I looked around to see if the police were real quick. And then I walked down the street and jumped in the car with him. And I was really nice. Yeah, Jesus Christ, was I naive and dumb. I was like, the nicer I am to them, the nicer they'll be to me. That's what I gotta do. The nicer I am to them, the nicer they'll be to me. So I was just like really like customers. That's how I thought of it. Customer service, like just providing customer service. Yeah. So I had condoms. So yeah, that's yeah. After that, after I turned the days, I get out the car really quick and then I would walk up to the end of the street, drop the money. Like he would be on the phone with me and he would tell me, okay, drop the money. And I would drop it like in the gutter or something like that. And he would pick it up right away. And then, yeah,
Why
that's
why
just what I
couldn't you
did
hand it
until
straight
he
to him?
said, huh?
Why couldn't you hand it straight to him? Because it looks like a transaction if police were watching. Is that why?
Well, yeah, because yeah, he's out on the track. He's a black man. I'm white, and we're out on the track like that. Yeah, if I was to hand the money to them, they would have gotten him for pimping and pandering. So they nobody could know that he was my pimp. He was my boyfriend. Otherwise, he'd go to jail for a really long time. So yeah, and so he didn't trust me. So I had after every day I would drop it like that, and then I would just go on to the next and go on to the next, and I did it for about Jesus. I did it for the first night. I did it for a couple hours, one after the next. We went to many places. I was very, very, very busy. I was a white girl out there, skinny, just, yeah, blue eyes, blonde hair. Yeah, I was a hot commodity out there. Everybody wanted me. And I made $2,000, almost $2,000. I thought it was like $1,500, $1,700. So it was almost $2,000.
For a couple of hours.
Huh?
For a couple of hours on your first night.
Yeah, for a couple hours, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Did like you were naive, so you're going out and you're doing that. But what was there any fear, and was there any kind of disgust that was going on? Like, because it could be anybody, right? It could be anybody that comes up to hire you for that process. Were you worried about people that were like, bad hygiene or like, just feral type
Yeah.
people, or what was going through your mind?
God damn. That's why when you see well, now that I think about it, but that's why when you see girls out on the track, they're so young. If they do hit the track, they're so young because you think that your life, like at that time, before when I first started doing, I thought so long as I was nice to them, the nicer I am to them, the nicer they'll be to me. Like, I'm not going to do any like, shady moves, and I'm not going to make them mad. I'm going to make them happy. So why would they want to do something bad to me? Like, I really, that wasn't even a thought in my mind. There was a, Jesus Christ. There was one, what with it, I don't remember. I had this bad feeling with this one truck. He was just really creepy. Like but I didn't make any money. I didn't make money, like enough money that day or something. I don't remember what it was, but I kept telling my pimp, I was just like, no, I don't want to get in the truck. Like, no, I don't want to get in this fucking truck, bruh. I don't want to get in this truck. And he was just yelling at me, get in that fucking truck. Like, because the guy was like being obvious. He wanted me. And I was like, I'm not getting in. It was just really, he had a one of those pickup trucks, like with the beds. And in the back,
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a whole bunch of shit in it, but there was a tarp over it. Oh my God, I haven't remembered this shit in so long. Oh my God. And finally I was like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna go in the car. And if I die, it's your fucking fault. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that to him. And anyways, so the guy pulled in behind this, Jesus Christ, behind the building. And I walked down the street and just everything in me was just like run. Like I was so uncomfortable. I did not want to get in this truck. I can't express to you how bad of like this came over me in my body. It was nothing I ever felt before with any other car that I've ever gotten in. And it was just like, I did not want to get in this fucking truck, dude. And as soon as he stopped and he took something out of the front of the car or something like that, and he kind of like walked to the side of the truck and like shoved it underneath the tarp. And I remember looking at him like, oh my God, I have goosebumps all over my body. I remember looking at him like, what, like thinking to myself, what did you do? Put the dead girl's clothes in that? Jesus Christ, I have goosebumps all over my body. If you could see this right now. I was like, Jesus, what do you do? Just take all her clothes and throw it back underneath there so I don't see it? Like, that's what I'm thinking in my head. And I'm looking at this redneck ass guy, and he's like, come on, sweet cakes or something. Ugh. So as soon as I get in the car, like on the floorboard of the car, there was something underneath on the floor, but there was another one of those tarps. It was another fabric tarp that was over it, so I couldn't see it. But it was like big piles of something. I don't know what it was. And so I had to like get in the truck, but my knees were up to my chin, like they were in my chest. I'm like, what the fuck? And I couldn't put my feet on the ground all the way. Like I don't know what it was underneath this tarp, but there was something. And then when I had tried moving my feet, I had kicked forward, and that's when I had heard there was a shotgun. He had a shotgun. Oh my Jesus Christ. He had a shotgun like right under. Okay, so the floorboard like pressed up. I don't know how to explain it. Like it was on its side, going up and down all the way in the back against the. If you can get a picture of it. So if I kicked it, and I heard it, and I seen the muzzle or whatever, the front of the, oh my Jesus Christ, the front of the gun going down. I had my hand on the fucking door. He had the window down, and I was like, as soon as this motherfucker stopped, because he hasn't even pulled out of the building yet. And I was like, oh my fucking God, why am I in this fucking car? Get out of this fucking car. Get out of this fucking car. And he just like, as soon as the gun had fallen and he seen me, I just remember him take it off faster. Oh my God. Oh my God. I opened the door when he was driving that fast, and I was like, I don't fucking care, dude. If whatever, if I die or not, but I'm not gonna let him kill me, is what I remember thinking. And I opened up the door, and as soon as I opened the door, that's when he went, and he was still driving, so he took his one hand and he tried to grab me by my shirt, and I had a little jacket on, and then I had like a wife beater on underneath it, a white one, and I remember just I was like, I don't give a fuck if this shirt rips or not. And as soon as I thought that, that's when it ripped, and I ended up like sliding out of my jacket really quick and then just rolling on the ground all the way to the gutter, and he just took off, like zoomed off really, really fast. And I just remember rolling to the gutter in the street, and it was late at night, so thank God there was no cars. And I remember just getting up. So, Jesus, I fucking, Jesus Christ. And I got in trouble because, yeah, I lost the money, so I was in trouble. So I had to hurry up and get back to the room.
Your pimp?
Yeah, he beat me.
Beat
He
you
beat
up
me all the time. Yeah, all the time. He always beat the shit out of me for whatever reason. He was mad at me because I only had half my shirt. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, literally. Oh yeah, half my, yeah. Oh my, what happened to my shoes? Something happened to my shoes. I don't know what happened to my shoes. Something happened to my shoes. So when I came back, he was pissed because he had to buy some new shoes and another shirt for me. He was pissed, really pissed. And I felt bad because he had to spend money on me. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that money that you were making, you were giving to him, right? You didn't keep anything
Yeah.
for yourself. I remember you saying.
Yeah. No, I never kept anything. I gave it all to him. Every dollar.
So this might sound like a silly question, but you're out there putting your life in jeopardy every single time, giving him all your money that you're making, and he's beating you constantly. So what's making you stay?
Where else was I gonna go? Where else was I gonna go? I didn't have anywhere else to go.
I don't know. My initial thoughts like anywhere's better to go, but you
I
know,
didn't have anything else. I didn't have anybody else. I wasn't talking to my family. I wasn't. As a matter of fact, I haven't talked to my family in years. I didn't talk to my family. Yeah, I didn't talk to them for years. For years. Damn, I didn't talk to them I didn't talk to anybody in my family for years. I just cut off all contact, changed my number. I didn't talk to them for shit. I didn't have anybody. Who else was I gonna go to? It was just me. I didn't know where else to go. It's like you're stuck in this cycle of, okay, I just won't do this, and I just don't want him to leave. So if I just do this and that, then he won't leave and he won't be mad and he'll stay.
did it cross your mind to do what you were doing on your own without him?
No. Oh no, never. No.
Why is that?
I didn't want. I did. didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it because it made him happy, because it gave him the money that he wanted, and in turn, I wasn't homeless. I was able to eat, and that's all I asked for. Yeah, the sad part was, yikes. My pimp got in trouble because I was wearing the same dress all the time, and like from sun up till sundown, I was the very first girl that would ever come out there, and then I was the last girl to ever go in. And I remember actually his pimp partner, like his P partner, ended up yelling at him, and I heard it. Because I was wearing the same dress, and he was like, she's handing you all of this money, and you have new clothes every day, and for jewelry and all this shit, but she's still wearing the same thing. You have to give her something. Or I don't remember now. I know this it's really choppy, and it's not making a lot of sense because I really don't remember what else it was. I just know that I felt guilty because he had to spend money on me. So I kept telling him, no, I don't want anything. No, I don't want anything. Never asked for anything. No, I just went to work, and that's what made him happy, and that's what made him. I just wanted him to stay. Just wanted him to stay with me. I didn't want to be alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there another time that your life was put in jeopardy just like that, from
Yeah.
prostitution on the streets?
Yeah. Oh, plenty of times. Um, Jesus Christ. There was one time when he would always tell me never get it when you're on the track, when you're walking on the track, like never get into a car if somebody comes and walks up on you and says, oh yeah, my car's over here. That was one thing that he would always tell me, never do that. Never get in that car with that person. And I'm like, why? Why? Like, why not? And he was like, just trust me. I don't remember. Anyway, so this little Mexican, I remember this Mexican, walks up to me when I was sitting in front of this Del Taco and was like, speaking Spanish, and he's just telling me like, my car's over there. I parked it over there. I'm like, well, go get your fucking car so I can get in it. And he didn't want to. So anyways, I follow him back to the car, and that's the car had been T-boned, but it was like, so the passenger door was like like smashed all the way in, like dented inside of the car. Like I had to get in from the driver's side and like scoop my way over the center console, and like, Jesus, I don't even know how the fuck I fit, but I had fit myself in the passenger seat, and like the door was up against my chest. Like it was bad. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, why am I getting in this fucking car? And I told him, just, we pulled out, went in, and I told him to go to the alley that was right across the street from the apartments. And he parked the car, and then I started giving him head. And it was so hard to give him head because I'm so tall, and because the center console was there, and then the door was, pinching me every time I moved my leg. Like it was horrible trying to turn, even just to turn to give him head. And I kept hearing like a like clink clink clink, and it was a noise, and he was shuffling, like he had pushed his chair back, and his hand, like so his right hand was like behind the passenger seat, and he just like was on the ground, and I could hear like clink 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 clink, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And I stood up, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you keep moving around so much? Like, what is your issue? And he was like, no, okay, nothing. He just showed me his hand, nothing, look. I'm like, okay. And I just started giving him head again, and he was being really aggressive, and he was like just trying to shove my head down, and I was just like, bruh, if you touch my head again one more time, I swear. Like, he was just trying to choke me, and I was like, bro, you're pissing me the fuck off. And the next thing I remember, I was like, because my hand was on the floorboard, and I kept thinking I was slipping, if that makes any sense. So I kept feeling like my hand was slipping out from underneath me, because my head would just like all of a sudden, it was like boom, and I would like be black. Like he was, what it was, he was hitting me over the head with a metal wrench. This is what it was, or one of those crowbars. He was hitting me over the head with it, and at that time, so every time he hit me, it was like I was blacking out, and like my hand would slip, and then when I would slip and hit my head in his crotch, that's I would like wake up again, if that makes sense.
And he did this a couple times, and then finally it hurt so bad, or I don't remember what it was. Like, I was getting so frustrated. Like, why do I keep slipping, bro? Why do I keep slipping for? So finally I sit straight up, and then that's when I see coming from behind me, I see his hand coming back over the passenger seat and hits me again. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like right then and there, it was just like this. I remember oh my God, this man's trying to kill me. That's what came through my head, was he's trying to kill me. And I remember screaming at the top of my lungs, and because my pimp was supposed to be somewhere around there to come save me, so I just remember screaming at the top of my lungs and pushing his head. Like, I had my hand and I was pushing his head so hard against the glass window that like his face was coming through my gaps in my fingers. Like, I just remember specifically thinking, like, you need to push harder, like you have to push harder. And I just remember pushing as hard as I could, his head up against the glass, and screaming and screaming and screaming at the top of my lungs for my pimp to come save me. And and at the end, I don't remember. What did he do? That's when he tried to hit me again. Or I don't remember where. I just reached for the handle on the passenger side. I reached for the handle on the passenger side of the door. Where the fuck it was, I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I reached for it, and I had just gotten a phone, and I remember thinking to myself, fuck, bro, I just got my phone, I need my sidekick. It was a sidekick. I'm like, I need my sidekick. So I reached for the handle, and the door opened. And I thought that, and as soon as I had turned my phone, the guy was coming through that side. And he was still swinging something. I don't know what he hit my arm, but my phone had like fell, and it was like, you know, on the sidekick, like how they open. I was like, oh, I still have my phone. And I don't know. I picked it up, and because the guy was trying to come through the door, that's when I was like, I gotta run. I have to get out of this alley. So when I ran up to the middle of the street, I just turned, and I remember looking and seeing cars coming down the main road, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, if I just make it to where the cars are at, if I could just make it to the cars, just please let me get to where the cars are at before this guy comes after me. Just let me make it there, because if something happens to me, at least there's cars that are going by, somebody will see it, or maybe my pimp, like maybe he'll see me and come and get me. And I remember running towards it, and then I made it to the end, and I just was out of breath. I don't know. I passed out. I don't remember. It was like as soon as I hit that street and I kind of went down the sidewalk a little bit, I just collapsed. I don't remember. I remember thinking like, oh yeah, this is gonna hurt. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't. But when I do remember, is waking up in the bathtub of my apartment, and I was the shower head was on the back of my head, and it was hurting so bad. That's what woke me up, because it was hurting so bad. And I remember just like opening up my eyes, screaming at him like, fucking bro, it's hurting. What the hell are you doing? And there was just blood. I was just sitting in a pool, like the bathtub was just full of my blood. It was just blood everywhere. Like you could see a trail. Jesus Christ, I haven't thought about this since, oh, God. You could see it was him and his friend. They must have carried me, or because you could see the trail of blood that led all the way from the front, Jesus, from the whole path, from the sidewalk, now all the way back up to there. Oh my God, there was so much blood everywhere. But the blood, it wouldn't stop bleeding. And every time I would bend over, because he would want to look at it, every time I would bend over, I guess, I was passing out again. Because I don't remember, he got upset, or I don't remember why, somebody was mad. So I don't remember why, but I ended up in the hospital, and that's when I got stitches in the back of my head. I had 22 stitches in the back of my head. And he fractured my wrist. I don't remember.
It was it was a while ago. I don't remember. That's all I remember.
You said you had fractured wrist as well.
He fractured my wrist, yeah, because when I was getting out of the car that time, and the last time that he tried to I want to say it was that middle thing that turns the bolts on the wheels of the car, like when you have a flat tire.
Yep.
It was that thing.
Tire
It was
radar.
that thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it was that
Yep.
thing. So when I had, because when I turned to fall out, I had fallen out on my knees, and I had my one arm in the car, and I was trying to push myself up. That's when he had that, and he swung it the last time, and it fractured my wrist. Or Jesus Christ.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you've gone to hospital. You got stitched up. Are you back out on the streets after that, or you
yeah,
take some time
actually,
off?
no, the next night. No,
Wow.
yeah, the doctor really. I remember having the X-ray in the car, and looking at it and saying like, I've never had a fractured bone before. Like this is cool. And like all the stitches and the instructions on how to take care of the wound and yeah, I went back home, and then I kept complaining of a headache. I had such a headache, but the doctor had said I couldn't go to sleep, so he was trying to he had to keep me up all night, and until the sun came up. He had to keep me up. Yeah, I couldn't fall asleep because if I had a concussion, yeah. So I remember the doctor telling him, yeah, I couldn't fall asleep. So because I couldn't fall asleep, I just went back home, and I remember trying to lay in the bed. He laid in the bed, and it was making me mad watching him sleep. So I was walking around somewhere. Where was I walking? I don't know. I was walking around in the apartment, and it made him mad. So he told me to go to work. So I just went back out there. So I didn't even sleep. Wasn't even the next day. I just went back to work. And I remember putting on my gloves because it was cold. And I remember like trying to tell God, like, just please let me get back home, just alive. Like I don't care what happens to me out here. Like just you can have whatever happen to me. Just let me come back home, please. Yeah. And I remember walking the track having a splitting headache, and he didn't give me no money, so I didn't have any Tylenol or nothing. I remember no 5-hour energy, no drugs, no nothing. And I was just like, come on, my head hurts. Like I had a migraine. My head was hurting so bad. It was just this pressure, just this horrible pain. But I had to work. So I went back out on the track. And I sat in front of the Circle K talking to the people that worked there. I made friends with a lot of people that worked in the restaurants that I'd always be hanging around. And I was showing off my stitches in my head. And actually, he ended up buying some Tylenol for me. The guy that used to work, the guy that worked there actually bought me some Tylenol. So ibuprofen or Tylenol, something to drink and something to eat because I was hungry. I haven't eaten, and I didn't eat either.
So, what would it have taken for you to stop being around this guy and doing what you were doing? Obviously, he's not around anymore. What happened in that process?
What happened to him? What do you mean?
Yeah,
Or what else
yeah. Like,
happened?
I mean, you and him. He's not your pimp anymore, right?
Of
How did that
course.
end?
Yeah, he tried killing me the last time. He set my hair on fire. It was like the last straw. Like he broke my jaw. He's twice. He broke my ribs. Put me in the trunk of the car, handcuffed me to the bumper of the car, and drove around the block. It was just, Jesus Christ, he was an asshole, bro. I blocked out so much. All I can remember is it take me too long to go back and figure. It'll take me too long. The last time he set my hair on fire, and that was it. That I had Jace at the time. I had met Jace at the time. So yeah, so it went on for years. It was years, and
me almost dying, getting kidnapped, and then some more shit happening to me on the track. Like I was literally playing with my I just didn't care. God damn, I didn't care. I did not care if I died. I didn't have anywhere else to go. I couldn't go home. Well, I didn't have a home. Where was I gonna go? Where was I gonna go? Who was I gonna turn to? Everybody was the enemy except for him.
So, was it that you didn't care if you died, or did you want to die at that sort of point?
I did want to. In a sense, now that I'm older and I'm looking back on it, I wanted to die. I wanted to die so fucking bad. I just didn't care. I did not fucking care. I wanted to die. I did. I wanted my body to be found by him, but I knew that he wouldn't find. Oh God. I just wanted to die. I didn't care. I did not care. And that's why I just kept getting in every single fucking car again, letting them, I was very adamant on making sure that I wouldn't do anything without a condom. And I always was just very adamant on that. I just remember that being, it had to have a condom. Like, I didn't care. Whatever they wanted me to do, just even if they killed me, I didn't care. Yeah, I wanted to die. I didn't care. Try going out to work with a broken jaw, being a hooker, and you can't suck dick. Your mouth is wired shut. Jesus Christ. Yeah, shit. It was like I was taking a gamble with my life every day, hoping I'd die, and I kept coming back like, God damn it. Try it again tomorrow.
So at this point,
nobody cared.
well, at this point in your life when you're feeling that way, if you could have had something profound to intercept and make a change for you at that point in your life, what would it have been?
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, what would I have needed in order to stop me from going down that path? Or
what
to
would
stay
you have
with
needed
him?
in your life to make a complete turnaround, a complete change in your life? And people might say, oh, I want $1 million or something silly like that. But like, what was important for you to have at that point to stop that life and make a full 180 turnaround change?
Love. Love.
Love from anyone in particular, or just love from someone?
From anyone.
Doing good, Mel. Just hanging there. All right. So okay. So let's go to when you met Jace. Okay. Sort of how long ago was that? And tell us the time you met.
I met Jace. And like I had a conversation in my head, like just saying like I'm not getting this love and affection from my pimp. Like, I wanted to be loved. I wanted affection because I didn't do that with the Johns. Like I never kissed them, or you know what I mean. I never could lay down with them and cuddle, nothing like that. And obviously, let me stop calling him asshole because his name's Joe. Now, obviously, Joe, or my pimp at the time,
he wasn't doing that either. But I wanted affection. I wanted love. I wanted attention. I wanted to feel pretty. I wanted to be wanted. I don't know. So I had posted an ad on Craigslist saying that I wanted somebody to come through and smoke with me. And Jace, Jace had responded to it. So he had responded to it, and I remember just like the way that he is. He was like, I was like, yeah, right. Like, yeah, okay, sure, you're gonna come over. Like, it was just like, yeah. He's like, I'll send you some pictures, and I'm like, I don't want any pictures of your dick. And he was like, I'm not sending you pictures of my dick. What the hell I look like? And I was like, dude, that's what. And this was all the messages, and he sent me pictures of him wearing clothes and just normal pictures, and I was like, oh, all right, good. I remember laying in the bed thinking that, like, oh, okay, good. He's no dick. Good. Like, he's not a pervert. He's not disgusting. And he was like, all right, I'm going to try and find a ride. And like, as soon as he'd say that, like, as soon as anybody said, I was like, man, I'll try and find a ride. I was like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. And, I was by myself, because my pimp never stayed with me. I was always in the hotel rooms by myself. After I would just work 24/7, and then, after I was done working, he'd come pick up the money and then leave. So I had stashed some money. At this point, I was starting to stash money away from asshole, because I was having to go without cigarettes and having to go without food after I just handed him like $4,000, or I'd hand him, no matter what amount of money I'd hand him, I would always be left at zero, but I needed to eat and I needed cigarettes. So I started stashing money because it was getting harder to ask the tricks or the Johns to go get them before the dates, because I was losing out on them. There was a lot of stings going on anyway. So I had stashed some money away from asshole, and I ended up going to the store to go spend it. And I got Jace calls me and he's like, where are you at? And I was like, I'm at the store. What are you talking about? And he was like, well, I'm at your room and you're not even fucking here. I've been, banging on the door. And I'm like, what? You're at the room? Oh my God. So I was like, okay, I'm coming right now. I'm just coming across the parking lot. Like, I'm coming. He's like, man. So I was like, just stay there. I'm coming. So I haven't thought about this in forever. My baby. So I get to the room and then I call him. I'm like, okay, well, where are you at? And so he comes inside and he just, I remember thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to get that love and I'm going to get that affection from this guy. I'm going to let him hold me. I'm going to let him kiss me. I was thinking this in my head. Like, I'm going to let him hold me. I'm going to let him kiss me. I'm going to be normal with this person. Because this is my time. Asshole's not coming back. Like, this is my time, right? And as soon as I open the door, here comes Jace comes in these red FUBU sweatpants, like poofy ass sweatpants. He's a skinny kid with his wife beater on. And I just remember thinking, as soon as he walked in the door, like, I can't force myself to even like this guy. What the fuck am I doing? He could never. I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't even force myself to like this guy if I tried. No, oh, hell no. What the hell is it? And I'm just thinking, of like what he was just so goofy. And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? What is he wearing? You came over here looking like that? Like, what the fuck? He didn't care. He did not care. Chase didn't care. He like, what up, girl? What up? His dad was black and mom's white. And he's just like, what up? He was so loud. And I was like, shut up. Goddamn. Like, chill. And he like checked in the bathroom, made sure nobody else was there. Everything was cool. And he's like, all right, girl. And he like sits on my bed. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, have a seat. He was like, where else am I going to sit? Like, his attitude was, now that I'm thinking about it, our attitude, it's exactly the same. It's me. Where else am I going to sit? You want me to sit on the floor? I was like, don't be a smart ass. And he'd be like, hey, I'm just saying, I can't sit on your bed. I can't sit over here. Where do you want me to sit, madam? Like, he was just like, I was thinking about, you're pretty spunky there for your first time in my room. Like, yeah. He just came and smoked with me and then he left. And I was like, well, he didn't try to have sex with me. What the?
Like, it was so odd because any guy that's ever dealt with it up until that, I mean, he just came over there, smoked with me, and then he left. And I was like, wait a minute, whoa. That was so weird. It was just so weird. I ended up calling him. I was like, did you leave? Like, I thought you were just going to the car. He's like, no, I told you I was leaving. I was like, but we didn't, are you sure? He was like, yeah, I told you I was just coming over there to smoke with you. I mean, I do want to have, but I just told you I was coming over there. I was like, what? Like, it was something new. I was like, wow, he didn't force me to, like, I didn't have to have sex with him in order for him to come smoke with me. Like, he just came and smoked with me and left. Like, we had a fun time. Like, it was cool. It was so cool. I thought it was like the best thing in the world.
Okay. So you call Jace, you start hanging out with him more, and what's happening with the asshole pimp at the time?
I was still with the asshole pimp, so I was seeing Jace like on the sly, because like I said, I was always left alone in the hotel, so I knew when asshole wasn't coming around, so I just controlled it to the point where, yeah, I'd have Jace, and Jace would come over. He ended up coming back later on that day. He went and got some more shit, and then came back, and his friend was waiting in the car the whole time that he was in the room with me. The first time. And I told him, I was like, what the fuck you leave your friend in the car for? And he was just like, well, I'm not going to invite him in here because there's two of us and only one of you. I didn't want to scare. I was like, oh, I thought that was really sweet that he took consideration that it would kind of scare me if there was two guys that came in there. So I was like, yeah, he ended up calling me later on that evening. Was like, yeah, can I come back? And then him and his friend came back and we just kicked it all fucking night. And every day, like for months, he would just keep coming back, and we haven't had sex for months. We didn't have sex for months, and it was just like the coolest thing in the fucking world. I had so much fun with him. I would work. He didn't care about what I was doing. He understood. He knew that I was with asshole, and I could talk to him about asshole because I loved asshole. I loved him a lot. I really did. I loved him a lot, and I couldn't understand why, no matter what I did, was never good enough. And he just wanted more and more and more, and didn't care if I died, didn't care, what happened to me. He wasn't even around to watch and see if I got hurt. He wouldn't even be there to say, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like I was venting out to Jace. I was telling Jace everything, and just, yeah, he was my first friend, really, honestly.
So
Was
he always a friend, or did he become like a lover to you?
No, we ended up, we did end up having sex. We did end up having sex, and I haven't thought about this. For some reason, he was very, I remember the very first time before we did anything, he's very adamant on making sure that's what I want him to do. He was like, we don't have to do this. Oh, my baby. Yeah, he's very adamant on making sure that it's what I wanted to do. He was very, I remember sitting next to him on the bed and him just reassuring me, just making sure, like telling me, like, we don't have to go this route if you don't want to. Like, if you don't want to take it, like, I'm just fine coming over here. But in my mind, I felt like, I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Or did you want to please him?
I wanted to please. I thought that he wasn't, but that's the thing. He wasn't pushing on me like that. Like, I didn't feel that from him. I didn't feel like I had to have sex with him because it wasn't brought up. Like, we were just, like, he was my best friend. Like he listened to that about asshole all the time, and we'd smoke and talk about our lives and just chill. Like, I never felt like I had to have sex with him. I don't know. I mean, he was very attractive after he was coming around. I mean, obviously I wasn't getting that attention from asshole. Like, he was something I looked forward to. He was cute. He was very cute. And I wanted him. I liked him. I loved hanging around with him. I loved being who I was. I loved forgetting about everything that happened earlier in the day, all the tricks I had to be with. And he was like an escape, He was just, it was so peaceful with him. And I wanted to have sex with him, but I just remember him being very like, okay, we don't have to do this if you don't want to. Just, I want to make sure this is what you want. And yes. And it was a couple more days later until we even did anything. And then when we did,
It was like it was different. It was very affectionate. He was very gentle. He was very slow.
And how did that make you feel?
Safe. He was very gentle. He took his time. He just the way that he touched me. He he turned on music and just come safe. I
And
felt
so
safe.
was this the first time you really felt that way from the process in your life? So tell me what's happening with the asshole pimp at this time. Have you stopped seeing him around, or is he still in the picture?
No. Eventually, Jace got tired of seeing me with black eyes and fat lips and bruises, or because I used to whip me with like extensions and belts and stuff, and Chase used to get so mad. He wasn't mad at me. I remember him being he's very specific when he tell me I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at him for doing that to me. And I kept telling him it was my fault. And Jason got tired of seeing me messed up, like, and he finally put his foot down. It was like, you have to make a choice. He told me that I had to make a choice between him and asshole, because he couldn't stand seeing me covered in these. He couldn't do it anymore. It was hurting him. It was hurting him, and because he loved me and he cared for me a lot.
Did you love him at
And
that
because,
stage?
huh?
Did you love him at that stage?
I felt safe with him. I didn't feel like I was I didn't feel like I ever did anything wrong. I always felt like I did everything right when I was with him, but I just didn't understand why I was so stuck on asshole. I don't know why I couldn't let him go. And Jace was very adamant on that, making sure that it was my choice and that I left asshole when I was ready. So he told me that, we could still be friends, but until I made that decision, you know, he can't keep coming around like he does. And asshole had went to Vegas, and I had to stay behind. Why did I stay behind? I don't remember what for. I don't know. Who cares? I didn't care. I was with Jace. So Asshole went to Vegas with his friends on a trip, and I stayed at Asshole's house. and watched it for him while he was gone. And that's when I had Jace come over, and I was cleaning up the house and organizing assholes like closet, you know, by color, and I did all of his laundry, and I cleaned and did all this stuff that I used to do, like always. And Asshole ended up calling me when I was with Jace, and Jace was quiet, and I remember specifically him being like, "You better have my room clean," and I was like, "I better." And I I looked at Jace, and Jace just like, "Ooh," and he just kind of walked into the other room, and I was like, "I better," and I kind of like just, "I better have your room clean." I just remember looking at Jason. He walked away like, "Ooh," and I'm pulling the phone away like, "I better have his room clean. What is he talking about?" And Jason didn't say anything, and I was like, okay, I will. And then right then it was like I felt like this motherfucker expects for me to do this. Like it was just so much. I was so mad that he said, "You better have my room clean." You bet I better, because I'm thinking to myself like I didn't have to do that, motherfucker. But and it was like that's how I felt. I was so angry at him for saying, "You better have my room clean." I cleaned the floorboards. I mean, the house was spotless, and the fact that he said, "You better," and Jason's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" And see, yeah, Jace had just gotten to Arizona, and just like right when we met the first time, it was like the first couple days he's been in Arizona. So by this time, he wasn't staying. He didn't have any, like he was staying at this one place where his things were, but he wasn't happy there. So he was hanging around with his other friends, staying at his other friend's house. Anyway, so when I said I better, he was like, "Well, what do you want to do here, man?" Like, and then what happened was I ended up packing a bag, or I ended up packing all my shit. And Carter, I remember packing everything, and I said, "Come on, let's go." I said, I better have his room clean. Fuck him. I was so mad. And then I left. I left, and I didn't give a fuck. I had money stashed aside. Jason, you know, kept reminding me. I remember that specifically. He kept reminding. He's like, "You can do it yourself." I remember him being very adamant on that. You could do it yourself. You're doing it yourself. He was the very first person that actually made me start questioning Asshole, because he was pointing out like, what is he doing? What, you're posting your ads, you're keeping your ads updated, you're doing this, and he was just pointing out every fucking thing that I was doing that I felt like Asshole was doing, like, if that makes sense, like that I felt like I needed Asshole for. He would always challenge it with like, "You're the one that posted your ad. When's the last time you posted your ad?" I was like, okay, well, and then he would always remind me of that. So by this time I had money stashed aside, and Jace would never take it. I remember trying to give it to him, and he'd tell me, "No, I don't want that money." He's what he'd say, "I don't want that money. You keep it." He's like, "That's the whole point." That's the whole, what am I gonna do with your money? That's what he'd say. "I don't want your fucking money." He's like, "But I want you to keep it." And I was like, okay, whatever. So I would keep it, and I started saving it because I wanted to make him proud, because I was saving the money. So by this time I had money saved up. So when I left this time, I went to a hotel room with Chase. I changed my phone number, and I did it. I left Asshole. Whew, I did it. I couldn't believe I did it. And it was, yeah, wow. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I was scared, but it was amazing. I was okay. I felt safe. I was safe.
Okay. I want to intercept again and ask about your parents at this point. Did you still have no contact with anyone at this point?
Yeah, no contact.
All right. So you've left, and what's your plan? You're going to sort of start a new life with Jace.
Yeah. Yeah, I started a new life with Jace, and it was amazing. It was like, why? Like I'm feeling everything that I haven't visited this time in ever in a long time. But I was like walking on a cloud. Like it was so wonderful waking up and not doing anything that day. If I wanted to not do anything, if I wanted to lay in bed all day and have sex with him all day, I would. And it was like, I can't express to you on how amazing it was. Just over and over in my head, I would think about, I could do whatever I want. I could do whatever I want. And we were happy. Like we didn't go out to clubs and you know what I mean. He wasn't like someone that was like flashy or anything. We just enjoyed being with each other. We maybe take Carter to the park and but we didn't. That's what I wanted to do. It was just so much freedom. And we ended up moving to another hotel. And Jace was doing his little thing. He was cooking that night, and I was going to take Carter for a walk. And Jace was like, I want to go with you. I was like, no, babe, it's all right. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna walk Carter around for a little bit. I said, why you clean and set up for dinner and start cooking dinner. And then by that time, Assel found that Assel had been following me around, and he had waited for the opportune minute. And that time when I kissed Jace, and then Jace would always tell me that, because I was always afraid that Assel was gonna come find me. Like I was afraid that Assel was gonna come kidnap me. Like I was terrified of Assel, terrified. And Jace would always tell me that. He was like, if ever, I don't have contact, he was like, just know I'm coming to look for you. He was like, I will spend every day, every hour of my life looking for you until I find you or I find your body, you and Carter. And and I just remember him telling me that all the time. And so yeah, also I'd waited for the opportune minute so when I was walking Carter, I didn't see him, but he ended up coming up behind me and putting the gun to the back of my head and told me that if I screamed, he would pull the trigger. So I just called Carter, and I'm holding Carter, and I'm just like, by this time I was just like, I didn't want to leave Jace. And I was just like, what? And he was like, follow me. I had to, he walked me back to the car, and where he was parked, there was like a creek. Like a dried up, because it's Arizona, so there's no water. But there was a creek there, and he told me to go down into the creek. And I remember I was holding Carter, and I was like, great, I'm gonna die. But I was thinking like, okay, well, at least my body will be here. Jace could find me quicker. And Assel made me get on my knees, and then he told me to close my eyes, and then he told me to beg for my life. And he told me to beg and tell him every reason why I wanted to live. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I can't say Jace because then he's really going to pull the trigger. So I was like, I just looked at him and I just had tears coming down my face. And I was just like, I just remember crying. I didn't even say anything to him, actually. Because in my head, I'm like, if I tell him Jace, then he's really going to kill me. And then that he had hit me across, he had knocked me out, but he hit me across the face with the gun, and I woke up. I was in the car. I came to. I had my head in his lap, and I was in the car, and I was looking up through the front windshield, as he's driving, and I just remember seeing the streets, and I was so far away from where I was, and I was like, what the fuck? But he had his hand wrapped around in my ponytail, so I couldn't lift my head up all the way once I came to. And I'm looking at the streets, and I'm like, what the fuck? Holy shit, bruh. I was hella far away from where I was. And I was like, fuck, man. So I started like yanking my hair to try to sit up in the seat. And he finally let go of my hair. And I was just so pissed at him. And I looked in the back seat, and there's Carter. Oh, my baby. Carter's just chilling in the back seat like, what's up, mom? And I'm like, oh, my God, what the fuck? And once I started realizing what the street names were, I knew that where we were going, it was a dead end. And that was it. It was just a dead desert. Like there was nothing there. There was no lights. There was nothing. When I say no lights, there was nothing. And I was like, oh my God, I only have a couple more streets until I'm going to die. And this time, this is my thought process. It may not make sense, but this is how I was thinking. I'm like, he's going to kill me. Jason's not going to find me. Jason's not going to know where my body is out this far. Nobody's going to know where my body is out this far. That's how deserted it was. And so I just remember looking back at Carter, and I telling him like, I'm sorry, baby, mama's got to go. And it was like right when I thought that, looked at Carter and gave him a kiss. I turned around and I looked, and the light went from, I'm not kidding you, the light went from red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green, and then it went red, and it stayed on red. And I was like, what the and right when he was starting to slow down, I just opened up the door and I just rolled out. I just rolled out. And once I rolled out, asshole peeled, like he turned around and peeled off the other way. And he had Carter by his collar and was hanging him out the window. And I just remember screaming at the top of my lungs, like, my baby, no, my baby. And I was just screaming so loud. And there was oh my God, there was, oh, I can't remember. There was a Mexican family that was closing up a restaurant in that area. They were just closing it up, locking the doors. And I was screaming, my baby, my baby. And they seen asshole take off the car with the dog hanging out the window. And I was just like, I can't tell. I was just, please don't kill my baby. And that's when their son, who spoke a little bit of English, came over to me, and he's like, what's going on? And I'm hysterical by this point. I'm like, my baby, my baby. And so they called the police. And because the brother, their son had seen me falling out of the car, and he had seen all of that. He was like, did he push you out the car? And I was like, no. And I was just hyperventilating. I just wanted my dog back. And so when the police came, they asked me all of his name. I kept calling him asshole. So the sergeant was like, asshole, the suspect was last seen going. I remember him. They were trying to figure out where he went, and they had patrol cars. Because I told him that he stole my dog, or he stole my baby. My baby, that's what it was. My baby. I kept saying he stole my baby, and they were thinking it was my child. And poor guys. But all these policemen put together like this whole, oh my God. They had people at his apartment, people at a friend of his apartment, people at his other girl that he was seeing apartment, like undercover cops all over there. And then they took me in the back of the car, and he was like, the one police officer was like, it was a girl. And I remember her being really like, well, what does she expect? Like, just real stuck up, like real. And I just remember looking at her like, it doesn't matter. Like, I just remember being so angry at her, having to be so defensive with her, because she was treating me like shit because she knew I was a hoe. And I was just like, ugh, just take me home. I just want to go home. And she was like, to him. And I was like, you know what? And I wouldn't get in her car, so I had to go in the sergeant's car. And the sergeant took me all the way back. And I just remember, like I said before, I remember Jace telling me, like, don't, if he doesn't hear from me, he wasn't going to stop looking for me. He wasn't going to stop looking for me. And I just remember right in that instant when I was going back to him, I could not wait to get back to the hotel to get back to him, because I knew he was so worried about where I was and what was going on with me, because I told him I was going to be right back. And the police officer had took me all the way back to the hotel. And right when before I got out of the car, I remember, oh, my baby. I remember Jace just running out from he just ran out from the room, and the policeman, he didn't even pull it. And Jace was running from the room into the police car. And Jace had called the police already. And because it's a different town, so there was Mesa PD where we were staying at already at the hotel, and Jace was talking to them, telling them all my information and who he was and who I was. So when Phoenix came to drop me off, Phoenix and Mesa started working together to get us home. And I told Jace I didn't have Carter. I was so devastated that I didn't have Carter. I wanted Carter so bad. I wanted my dog back so bad. I was like, I have to get Carter. And Jason's like, we're going to get him back. We're going to get him back. We'll get him back. We'll get him back. I promise you, we're going to get him back. And Jason was just like, he was very, very gentle, very, when you want to talk about it, he's like, do you want to eat? Do you want to talk about what happened? Like, I remember instantly he didn't yell at me. that was the big deal, is that he didn't yell at me when I went back. And I thought he was going to be so mad at me because I didn't answer my phone. And he didn't yell at me. Like, he didn't throw in my face, like, why you didn't answer your phone? Or, see, this is why I wanted to go with you. Like, he did. And I remember being so happy that he didn't do that. He just asked me if I was okay. He hugged me and he kissed me and he said that he was worried about me. And then because I didn't answer the phone is why he called the police. But now I'm there, so never mind them. And then I remember him just going on about our day. Like, I just was so grateful. He didn't yell at me for, I felt like it was my fault. But he was like, do you want to lay down? Do you want to work? Do you want to watch a movie? What do you want to do? And I remember I laid in Carter's bed and I was like, I want Carter. So I ended up laying in my dog's bed and just cried and cried. And Jace came and laid with me in Carter's bed.
Okay. So,
And then I just,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I thought you finished on that there.
Yeah, fell asleep in Carter's bed.
Did you get
Fell
Carter
asleep in
back?
Carter's bed. Yeah, I ended up getting it back because they ended up getting asshole a couple of days later. He finally came out of the apartment, and because they were staking him out all that time, Phoenix was, and he ended up coming out of the girl's apartment that he was at, and they swooped up on him when he tried to get in his car. So they arrested him, and they took him to jail, and he was in jail. And I remember us being just so happy and so excited and just so relieved that he was finally in jail. It was a very long, drawn out process, so there was a lot more to it than that. But there was very happy that he finally got caught. And the police officer, I had told him, I said, did he have a dog? Did he have a dog? And they said no. And then I was like, it has to be at his apartment. So Jace was like, okay, well, let's do a civil standby. That way the police is there and he was like, you know where he lives, right? And I was like, yeah, I know where he lives. I was like, that's the only place that he'll take the dog, because I knew he wasn't going to hurt Carter. So I knew he would draw. If he didn't have it with him, then that's where he was. He was at his apartment. So Jace was like, okay, we'll get a civil standby. So Jace called the police and asked for that civil standby. And the police were like, okay, fine. This is what you're going to do. They told us, go to the apartment. Don't go inside of the apartment. Call us when you get there, and then we'll send an officer out there with you. And so we did. And we went and we waited, and then the police officer came, and he was just like, well, I don't really have too much faith in the system, so I'm glad you're doing it now. He's probably going to get out soon. I was like, what the fuck? I'm looking at Jason like, what the fuck? And Jason's like, we'll talk about it at home. And so we went to the apartment. We got Carter. And then, walked in, got Carter because his roommate was home. And we go back to the hotel, and I'm just so happy, just so excited. And just have Carter back. I have my family back. And I just remember being like, oh, the family's together. We're together again. I have my little family back. And Jace, we were doing laundry that night like we do every weekend. And he was like, we need to talk about this. And I was like, about what? And he was like, what do you want to do? Because at that time, I didn't know if I wanted to press charges on him yet, or if I didn't want to press charges. And Jace was like, it's your choice. And no matter what choice you do, I'm going to be here to back you up with that choice. But it has to be your choice. What do you want to do? If you want to press charges, why do you want to press charges? And I remember going back and forth with him. He was like, okay, how about this? So while we were doing laundry, he was playing like that kind of debate, like, okay, well, tell me everything. Okay, so let's say we do press charges. All right, talk it out with me. So what's going to happen when you do press charges? And then we play that scenario out. And then he was like, okay, so what if you don't press charges? And then we play that scenario out. And then I was like, And then I decided, I was like, yeah, you know what? I do want to press charges. Like, yeah, that's, it wasn't for me. It was for Carter, because that was fucked up that what he did to, like, I didn't care that he did it to me. I did not care, whatever. But my dog, like, you traumatized my dog. Like, that's all I kept thinking, is you traumatized my dog. Like, you literally harmed my dog. And I wasn't going to let him get away with that. And Jason was like, well, sounds like we got a plan. I was like, okay, we're going to do this. And the next morning, Well, that night we ended up calling to see, you know, what his bond was, or if he had a bond or whatever, because he had went to court finally, and he had a $10,000 cash only bond, and so we're like, whew, all right, he's gonna be in jail for a while, like, oh, we gonna be good. And the next morning, I got a call from Asshole, and he had been released. That the state dropped all the charges, and they weren't gonna press charges on him. Yeah. So I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. And I just remember crying and just crying. Like, Jace just dropped the phone and looked at Jace. And Jace was like, what the fuck happened? And I told him, and he was just like, are you fucking serious? Like, he was livid. He was just livid. He was pissed. He was very pissed. Very pissed. Because they never asked me nothing. The state wouldn't pick up the charges. The state dropped the charges. They would have pressed charges against him and let him go. So he walked out.
So was there any altercations after that from this asshole pimp? Did he try to come back and see you again for any reason?
Of course he did. Of course he did. And like a dumbass, I left Jace, went back to Asshole. Not a dumbass, let me stop talking bad about myself, but like I was confused and I left Jace and I went back to Asshole, and God, did I hate it, every moment of it.
What made you do
And I
that?
stayed with him. I still loved Asshole. It was like he told me everything I wanted to hear. He felt bad. He was sorry. He sees where he went wrong, and you know, he misses me. And so, for whatever reason, I would leave Jace and I would, you know, sneak off with Asshole at night. And I felt bad because Jace was so nice to me, and just we didn't have like that kind of relationship. Like I was telling him the truth, he was telling me the truth, and it was just, I felt so bad lying to him when I would sneak, like I would say I was going to the store or something and I would meet Asshole, and the guilt that I felt, oh my God. The guilt that I felt with him because I lied to him was like with like the guilt that I had when I was younger. I was just like, I feel so bad that it was guilt, and I hated that guilty feeling. I hated it. And I ended up just leaving Jace out of the blue for no reason. It was bad.
Did you love Jace?
When I left, yes, I did. I did love him very much. I was so confused. I didn't know who I loved. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I was so used to Asshole. I was so used to that abuse that it was like walking on eggshells with Jace, waiting for him to hit me any moment. It was so stressful. It was like I loved everything that Jace did for me, but I didn't see it at the time. You know what I mean? Like I was very comfortable with the abuse that I was getting from Asshole. I knew what that felt like. I knew all of that pain that endured being with him. But with Jace, it was like he never hit me. He was so respectable, and it was like I said, like walking on eggshells. Like any second, okay, any second now he's gonna hit me. Any second now he's gonna hit me. Any second now he's gonna hit me. But you know what I mean? And so I just went back to Asshole. I was like, fuck it, Asshole hit me. Like I'm used to that. I could do this. And I felt bad because as soon as I left that last time with Jace fell into a really deep depression where he didn't talk to anybody for like 2 weeks. He completely shut off the world. He went back to his dad's house. Like he didn't talk to anybody, did not talk to any of our friends. It really hurt him a lot that I left. Like a lot. And went back to Asshole so that yeah. When I finally left Asshole, my poor Jace. The last time I left Asshole, like I said, he set my hair on fire. And it was like, even in between those times, whenever Asshole would kick me out and I would call Jace would come.
How much time in between was it when you left Jace, went back to Arsehole, and then left Arsehole again, calling Jace? Was that over a couple of months or a year, or
No,
what sort of time
years.
frame?
These were years. It was years in
Years.
between each time. Yeah, it was years. Yeah, it was years.
Okay.
And that's why I'm like, the last time that I finally left Asshole for good, when he set my hair on fire, it was just years of calling Jace and Jace being there instantly and never changing, and just now that I have the words for it, showing me unconditional love and making me feel safe. And then I just left and just went back to Asshole. So it was years. And then finally, when I left the last time, I was done. I was it. He set my hair on fire. I was done. I was done. And I went to a hotel room and I called Jace and I told him, I said, come to the hotel room. I swear to on everything. And he's already heard this a million times, right? And I told him, I said, I swear to God, I'm done. I promise you I'm done. He set my hair on fire. I'm telling him all this stuff, right? He was like, he was just, he's had enough by that point. He had enough by that point. Jesus
So
Christ.
he didn't come?
I called him and told him, and he said, okay, get me the Uber. So I called the Uber, or I phoned the Uber and I got the Uber to go to pick him up and he told me to stay on the phone with me until the Uber gets there, so I know you're okay. And I was like, okay, but I was so exhausted from what had happened earlier that day that I was sitting on the bed with my one leg down and I just kind of put my head up against the wall on the headboard and Jace was telling me some jokes or something. I don't remember what he was doing. He's telling me something. I was laughing at him because he was being silly or something like that. Making fun of me over something. I don't know what it was, but I was so tired. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to close my eyes just for a couple seconds. And I had fallen asleep. And I woke. I had this dream when I fell asleep that me and Jace were at the bottom of a Grand Canyon and we were by a creek. And I kept telling him, like, I want to go with you. I want to go too. And he was like, you can't go with me. That's not how it's supposed to be. I'm always be with you, but you can't go with me. That's not how it goes. And I just remember being so mad at him because I couldn't go with him. And it was like I instantly just woke up like I had like those falling dreams. I just like woke up like sitting straight up in the bed, like just hyperventilating, like, oh my fucking God. And I was just hot, like panicking. And I remember looking around like, where the fuck is Jace? The fuck? And I was so mad at him, like this motherfucker let me fall asleep. Like, ugh. So I go into the bathroom and I'm on the phone. I'm like, Jace, I'm about to whoop, like, just, I'm about to punch you. Why you let me fall asleep? And you know I have to work. And da 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 da. He didn't. He did. Yeah, I didn't get text message back from him. I didn't get any calls from him. And morning time came, and um, that's when I got the call. I pick up my phone because I got a call, and it and they said that Jace had committed suicide last night. Um, while I was on the phone, the police had to take the phone out of his hand. It was still connected to the call when he did it, so he fell asleep when I was on the phone, and I have fallen asleep.
So, what what was the first reaction that you had from that call? What was the first thoughts going through your mind?
I don't. I had a friend that was using the room. He was a scammer, so he was using the room to print off something. And as soon as I heard it, I stopped. I stopped in my track, like in the doorway from the bathroom, and I just remember lifting my head up and seeing my friend running towards me. And my phone I dropped my phone. And my friend had caught me right before I fell. My knees gave out. I don't remember anything. I just remember him holding me and me crying and him telling me to lay down in the bed and asking me what had happened. And then he picked up the phone and talked to, and they told him what happened. I cried myself to sleep. I don't know. Or I cried. And I remember my friend telling his other friends that every time she wakes up, there better be one of you two sitting right there. And sure enough, I cry myself to sleep, and every time I'd open up my eyes and I'd look, and one of the guys would be there looking at me, watching me. And I'd fall back asleep, and I stayed asleep for like the last couple of days like that. That was it. It wasn't
How
until later
long?
when huh?
Go ahead.
It wasn't until later when his dad had invited me over for dinner and showed me the police report where it said that they had to take the phone away from him and disconnect the call because it was still connected to our call when they found him.
How long ago was this moment?
It just passed in August 20th in 2015.
And if you had to speculate about that moment on why Jason did that, what would you think pushed him over the line?
I mean, Jason had a heart. He grew up in Kansas, in Kansas City, and just it's a pretty, the streets there are pretty tough, and he's seen like his best friend got killed in front of him, right in front of his face, like his got shot in the head and his brains came down. So Jason's been through some traumatic events, and he's we used to, our friends used to make fun of us because we slept the same. So we used to cry in the middle of the night, and just because we would have nightmares all the time, and watching us both try to sleep together, we would punch each other all night long, and it just so I remember one time specifically, just like, I wish I could take the pain away so he could just sleep peacefully at night. I remember saying that quite often to myself, watching him try to sleep, because you could just see he was in pain. And I remember, asking God, like, please just let me carry his pain just for one day, so he could sleep peacefully. And I think, I mean, that on top of the shit, everybody, it is the shit that we were going through. I mean, this was years, so now I'm telling, it's the story of what I basically remember. I don't remember a lot of it because I blocked it out because I haven't talked about him since I only talk about a little bit of stuff with him. But you have to think that this was going on for years. Years that I dragged him along, and I know that he just cared about me. I know that he just cared about, and I just kept breaking his heart, like, just getting, okay, she's finally gonna leave him, and then just being crushed again, and then just there was years in between each time that this happened, that I don't think he couldn't take it anymore. He could. It was like now that I talk about it, he taught me what a conditional love looked like. He showed me what it what could be seen. He showed me that I could be safe on my own. He showed me what it was like to be respected and to be happy. He gave me back. He made me lift my head when I was walking outside again. He made me be proud of who I was, no matter what I was doing. And he told me all the time that I deserved to be loved. It didn't matter if I was a hoe getting money, I still deserve to be loved because I'm a person. And I'm a good person. And he was proud to be with me, no matter what.
So, what was life like from that point forth? I know it's obviously difficult because Jace was not here anymore, and you kind of just mustered up the whole mind frame to finally leave that asshole pimp. But Jace isn't here. Where do you turn to?
I, I, I had, before I fell asleep, I told Jason, I said, I promise that I'm not going back. I told him that. But I haven't gone back to asshole since. I never called asshole again. I never did. I promised. I told Jason that I was done. And I never went back. And I never talked asshole again to this day. To this day. Now I was by myself again. Dealing with, I was pretty out of it. I was by myself with my dog on the streets, working every day. But I promised Jason I wouldn't go back, and I haven't been back since.
I'm just going to let you take a moment. I'm going to open messages for a second. Maybe some support might come through if anyone wants to send any messages. It's open now to the public because we're kind of starting to tail off towards the end. But if anyone wants to, I know we've had some listeners from the start of this podcast so far, and any supportive words would be nice. But you've been through a hell of a lot, Mel. You've and I'll admit that there's been moments here that I've kind of, it's really a touching story for me to hear from you. And I've known big parts before, but, you know, I care about you a lot. You've become a friend of mine on this app, and, you know, we speak off the app, and it's been a lot more difficult in this podcast than normal for me. I kind of get a little bit stuck sometimes, and how I'm gonna ask you things without having to bring up some old emotions, but it's always good to revisit them. So first of all, thank you for sharing as openly as you have, and I hope that to this point, as maybe hurtful as some of these things are, that you've got to vent them off your chest, lighten a little bit load off your shoulders, and at the very least, I hope this is something you can go back and listen to for some answers along the way. But I know from talks from you along the way that how important and special that Jace is, and if you may have realized this already before, but this kid's really saved your life to this point. He's he's been a savior that's come in and intercepted at the right time to get you away from the real depths of that life with that asshole particularly. So I just want to ask you as a friend, there's a few years in between from then till now too. We've about 6 years, but what do you need in your life right now that could help inspire, make things better in any way? Is there anything that can, from anyone, that could help with you in that way?
I don't know. I miss him.
Okay, let's divert a little bit and let's talk about your dad now. You've at least recently sparked up a really good relationship with your dad. You rekindled that in a way, right? Tell me about Pup. I've seen him on this app before. I've seen. I wanted to speak to him. I haven't got to catch him along the way, but he's like a lovable teddy bear sort of a dude from the way I can come across, right? Uh, Years have passed. Obviously, you've had issues with your mother. How did you rekindle that with your dad? Because like I see you guys on here talk before, maybe 6 months ago, and he's just such a nice dude. Like he's such a nice guy, and he's not judgmental. He loves you to death. How did that all come about again?
It was. It wasn't. It's sorry because I'm crying so hard. So
That's okay. It's okay.
um, it wasn't until recently when um I came across this book that said you're not crazy, your mom's narcissistic, and when I read it, I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like just like all these lights came off, and I was at the house at the time, and I ran to my dad. I'm like, Dad, Dad, because I had been, oh god, I had been raped by Mesa PD, so my dad had just came and picked me up and saved me from that. So I was just talking to him because I was back at the house. So I was like, Dad, look. He was out in the backyard, and I was like, listen to this, and I'm like reading all this stuff from the book, and my dad's like, he stops and he looks at me, he goes, what book is that? And I was like, it's this. And then me and him sat out there and we were reading the book together, and we're like, oh my god, that's what she does. Oh, it was like, it was like everything started making sense. It was just like the blanket got pulled, like the blindfold was lifted from both of our eyes, and we just looked at each other like, we're not crazy. It's not us. It's not us. We're not crazy. Yeah, we're not crazy. And in the book, it gives you like this little test, like, okay, if you don't believe me, yeah, because you're not going to believe me because this person's, she's probably made you not trust anybody else but her. So anyways, in the book tells you to do this test with her, just to prove her point. And so me and my dad are like, come on, let's go. So we go out front with my mom smoking, and we're like, so mom. And in the test, it's just a simple conversation test. So they're like, anytime you want to, let's bring up a topic and try to stay on that topic, and anytime that she tries to divert it and bring it back to her or make it anything about her, or then you tell her, oh, look at this white flower. Oh, you see this flower? Look how beautiful this white flower is. And then immediately go back into the conversation that you were talking about before. And as soon as she does it again, you got to, Mom, look at this. Oh, look at this flower. And see how shorter and shorter her, we'll be able to do that until she finally just tells us to leave because she can't talk about her, Long story. I mean, in a sense, that's what it's telling you to do. So me and my dad did it. I remember us taking turns and being like, oh, look at this rock. And I'm looking, a rock, Dad? A fucking rock? Like, and sure enough, like, it didn't take no time. And we were like, oh! And so we just ran back inside. And my mom's like, oh, well, yeah, go ahead. Keep talking shit about me. And me and my dad were like, yeah, shut up. Like, it was... And then from that point on, it was just a new world. It was a new thing. And I had looked at my dad a couple months later and just like, Dad, I'm sorry. I hated you growing up my whole life. I didn't have any reason. It wasn't you that I hated. It was Mom. And he was like, it's all right, kiddo. He's like, unlike your mom, he was like, I don't live in the past. So he's like, it's all right. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. And I told him, I said, I love you for the first time. And my dad was like, I love you too, kiddo. And I was like, oh, my dad said, I love you. Oh, my dad told me he loved me. And I was so excited. Like, I ran into the room where my best friend Vanessa was at. Vanessa, and I was like, Vanessa, my dad told me he loved me. My dad said, she's like, I know he would. I told you. That's why I told you to ask. Like, because Vanessa was, coaching me up to that point. She's like, just tell him you love. And it was just the most amazing feeling ever. I was bragging to everyone. Like, my dad told me he loved me. Yep, he did. He told me he loved me. And then ever since then, it's just been the greatest. My dad, that's when I started to see that my dad was always there, and that no matter what, even my dad went looking for me when I was out on the track. My mom had told me it was her, but it didn't make sense. But my dad had finally told me that it was him. He went looking for me because my pip had thrown some water on. It was a situation where he had thrown some hot water on me, and I was stuck outside, and like the police it was just a bad situation that the hotel ended up calling my parents. And because I knew somebody there, so they knew who my sister was, and then they called my sister, so on and so forth. So my dad came, and it was like within like a split of 2-3 minutes. If he would have came, we would have ran into each other, but we didn't. And he just missed me. And then he never stopped looking for me. But by all that time, even when I had a black eye from Asshole, my dad came to Asshole's apartment, just like, if you want to hit somebody, hit me. And I just remember being so embarrassed, like, Dad, go away. Like, Dad. Like, my dad was trying to kick down the door. Like, he was pissed. And just, yeah. But I would always, disappear again. I'd disappear, and he would hear I didn't talk to my dad. I only talked to my mom at this time. And I didn't have a number for my dad. My mom wouldn't give it to me. So it was just at that moment I was able to see, like, you know what my dad did. My dad was always there. He may not have said I love you because, he doesn't. If I don't say, I mean, he was suffering from her abuse just like I was. So he was showing me he loved me, but I just didn't see it because my mom made me feel like I needed to hear him say I love you. Otherwise, he didn't love me, which is not the case. But I get it. And then ever since then, no matter if I had a problem in the middle of the night, I call my dad, like, Dad, I put a bar put a bar of soap in the microwave one time because I wanted it to bubble up and stuff, and like it blew a few and I called my dad at 3:00 in the morning, like, Dad, he's like, what did you do, what happened? And I was like, so I put a bar of soap in the microwave, and it went poof, and it blew everything out in the whole hotel. And my dad's like, wait, you're calling me at 3:00 in the morning because you put a bar of soap in the microwave? He's like, call the maintenance man. I'm like, no, Dad, that's what you're here for. What do you do?
I believe your he's left your mum since as well, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. He finally did. All of his kids left the house. All of his kids have moved out of the house. They all have their own houses, families, children. And then finally, my dad left. That's what he was waiting for. His dad had left his mom, and he then stopped talking to my dad, and his brothers. And my dad said that he never wanted us to feel like that, so he stayed with my mom, until we all grew up. And yeah, now he lives off grid. My dad lives about 3.5 hours away from my mom, off grid. So that bitch can't go fight him.
And have you had any conversations with your mum sometime recently in the last few years?
I have. I've actually talked to her. I mean, I still kept reaching out for her. I still kept trying to. It still wasn't making any sense. It wasn't making sense. It wasn't making sense. And it wasn't up until just recently, like just about a month ago. I had blocked her because she was always telling me like, well, that's not how I remember it, or you had a very different childhood according to you. Or I had one time I had told her, I tried to come to her and tell her like, I was raped when I was 16, and she's like, well, don't blame me for your fucked up choices. And you were a very bad child. You were very hard, and just all this, just thing, time after time again, it was just hurting me to the point where I was like, I can't even talk to her, because no matter what I say to her, she always makes me cry, and it's like she depleted everything in me. Like every little bit of strength that I would build up, it was just gone in 2 seconds. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, it took me years to do that. How did she do that? So I was like, I gotta cut her off. I can't. I'm exhausted, but building myself back up again, or trying to, like, and she just depleted it. So I blocked her completely. I blocked her off Facebook. She couldn't message me. I couldn't do it anymore. And then because my dad lives off grid, I couldn't get a hold of him for about a week. And I was worried. I was like so worried that I unblocked her. And I even threatened my dad. I said, look, I unblocked your ex-wife. Okay. So now you know I'm serious. Yeah, you better reach me. So it was like a day later, my dad, he was like, no, block her again. Like, he was like, no, you better block her. I'm okay. He just didn't have any service. He had bad service where he was. Yeah. But I haven't talked to her. Even that little bit of time that I had her unblocked, she was like, well, I don't know why your father's not calling you. I'm talking to you. I will message him, and I'll make sure that he calls you and tell him that you are very, like, when I'm like making these words standard, because these were all in capital letters that she was saying. And I'll make sure I let him know that you were calling, and you were worried about him. So it just what she said in fucking 2 paragraphs, I was like, you're not about to, no. It just made me to the point where she was picking on my dad again. Like, I seen it, and she was trying to make my dad be the bad person. I was like, you're not about to do that. You're not about to do that to my dad again. You're not about to do that. You're not about to talk shit about my dad. And I just got pissed, and I blocked her, and I don't even care anymore. I'm not about to, In 2 sentences, she literally was trying to make my dad out to be the bad person, and it pissed me off so bad I blocked her, and I didn't even respond. I was like, she's not even worth it. You're not about to make me hate my dad again. No. No.
Okay, so if you could have that conversation that you want with your mum, to tell her or ask her some things and get her to understand something, and she would shut her mouth and not open it and listen and understand, what would it be?
I wouldn't say anything to her. She wouldn't. She can't. Even if she just said, she wouldn't not that. Yeah, I do. You know what? I still struggle with being okay with needing her to validate. She would make me doubt every fucking thing I was saying to her. Like, instantly, when I would get to her, I would just, no. I wouldn't waste my time. I wouldn't waste my breath, because I'd be setting myself up to get hurt again. There's no point. She's not going to, even if she didn't listen to me, even if she was just like, okay. And that's all she said, I'd still be like, damn, what else do I got to do to make her, okay, what if I do this? And then I'll get stuck in that cycle again. Like, no.
Okay,
I'll
so
be like,
let's
maybe I can
just
tell her, if I tell her this, it'll be okay. If I tell her this,
let's entertain the thought that what you were about to say, she shut her mouth, and you could see the penny drop in her mind, that she realized that what you said hit home, and she actually said, oh my God, you're right. I understand. If that could happen, what would you say?
I don't want it to happen, because it would be too much pain for her. It would be too painful for her. It's okay.
Okay. So you've rekindled the relationship with your dad to this point. I don't know how open you've been with him, but is there
Yeah,
anything that
he knows
you
everything.
want? Yeah, but is there anything that you can that you find difficult to speak to him or open up about your feelings? Is there awkwardness or anything like that with him in any way? That is there
No,
some things you wish you could still say, or you really sat down and opened up with him?
no, I've really said that my dad knows every fucking thing, everything. He knows that when I'm struggling with the emotions, something he's even told me. He's like, okay, well, he's reminded me just recently. Like I told him, I'm like, I'm getting this awareness, and I'm starting to understand a lot more because I'm starting to talk a lot more about what I've been through. And I told my dad, I said, it's driving me insane that I have to go be by myself and just, relax and calm down. And I have to be away from everybody and everything in order to process things. And my dad's like, well, why is that making you mad? I was like, because why do I have to go away from other people? And my dad's like, just calm down. He's like, so what? You're your safe place. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, that's it. You're just going to where you know is safe, which is you. And you, so what if it's different than everybody else? And I said, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. He's like, yeah, you just do things differently, kind of like me, huh? And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. So my dad, and that's why I have a lot of emotion towards my mom, because I'm like, I needed my dad so much more when I was younger, because my dad is like me, exactly like the way that I communicate. My dad is able to think differently or outside the box in order for me. Like he'll say something a million times and be like, oh my God, how many times I got to, all right, let me try a different way. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't get frustrated or he doesn't get annoyed. He'll say the same thing a million times in a million different ways until I get it. You know what, if that makes sense. So, or he'll remind me, like recently on New Year's just this year, I was raped, and well, they tried, and then I told my dad right away. I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Why did I go? My dad's like, hold up, wait a minute. Why are you an idiot? No. You're not an idiot. Because where are you at again? By yourself again? Okay, yeah. So he just reminds me, like, stop being, he'll stop me in my negative thing. My dad's so helpful. He's such an amazing person. He doesn't even realize it. I don't think he does, but I should tell him because he's still here. I'm gonna tell him anyway. I'm gonna tell him when we're done. But yeah, he does. It's because that's just him. Because now he's been away from my mom, and for so long, I see my dad, and my dad, the way that he moves and the way that he communicates is, I understand it, if that makes sense.
Sure. And I've seen your dad on here, and he is a lovely guy. I'd love to speak to him. I think I tried to connect with him one time and missed him, but he hasn't been on for a long time. If you ever speak to him and jump him on here so we can have a chat a little bit about things, if you don't mind, and if he doesn't mind,
No, he will. He will. When he came on here, the first thing that people kept like, "Are you so embarrassed of your daughter? Did it change? Did that your daughter?" My dad's
He
like,
absolutely was not. He absolutely
he
had your
wasn't.
defense. I witnessed that conversation, and
You did good.
he stuck up for you so hard. I was like, fucking great, man. He's really a great guy. I'd love to get the listeners to learn a little bit about him too. I'd love to give him an interview too at some point, if that's cool.
He's like,
But
why are you fucking crazy? The way that he comes about it too is so nonchalant. Like, he's talking to me like, they want me to stop. You just want me to stop loving my child because of choices that are different than. Do you hear what you're saying? Like, he's just so, without any sorry in the world. Like, do you hear how stupid you sound? So you're telling me to stop loving my child because she made some choices I wouldn't make. Like, do you hear how stupid you are? And I'm like, hey, yeah.
Okay, so currently at this point, are you still prostituting now, or have you stopped it?
I actually got to the point where I was so sick. I finally got to the point where I was so sick and tired of allowing these men to take advantage of me in a situation because I needed something. And that's how every sex worker gets to that point. They'll get to that point eventually. It's like, I am so sick and tired of allowing these men to use me in this way because I need a roof over my head, or I need to eat that day, or I needed things. And I don't think I should be taken advantage of. I felt taken advantage of because they seen that and they were like, okay, well, here's some money. Like, I felt so I stopped. I literally stopped seeing guys altogether for a couple years, like 4 years ago. I just stopped. I refused to, and I used my mouth and found other ways to be able to do that. And yeah, I refused. I haven't since. It's been about 4 years,
Okay.
4 years since I have seen it, like, sexually wise. Now I've dominated, and taken their money, but I've never allowed them to be inside me, or for me to have to sexually pleasure them in any way. I just refuse to. Ugh.
Okay. So, what does the future hold for you now? Like, do you have a track or a goal that you want to achieve here? Are you just living day to day, week to week, with
Yep.
nothing in mind, or are you trying to like achieve something here?
Eventually, I've gotten to the point because I've been talking about a lot of things, and I've realized that it's okay to say like, no, I don't have a plan. Nope. And I appreciate where I am right now. I'm in New York City, by myself, and I have a roof over my head. I've ate today, and I'm grateful for that. I am so grateful for that. I'm so grateful because I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for everything I have in front of me, and I know that I may not know what happens tomorrow, but no matter what happens, I'm gonna get myself through it. I'll make it through because I've got myself through every fucking thing that I've been through thus far. I'm going to continue to get myself through everything else. So whatever comes my way, and it's kind of, I live by this quote, like whatever you're unwilling to let go of is where you're going to remain stuck. So whether that is a mindset or something physical, like I let it go. I don't care. I'm not attached to anything materialistic. Like I'll let it go. So fuck it, bye. I came to New York with a Walmart bag full of clothes and a pair of shoes, one pair of shoes. And now I have like 4 suitcases full. I have way more stuff than I need, but
Mhm.
I've replaced every fucking thing I've lost tenfold every single time. Every time. So no, I just live in the moment. I live day to day. Literally, I don't even know what's gonna happen tomorrow. It's another adventure.
Okay. So, we're kind of getting towards the end of the podcast now. I normally play this little game of 20 questions, but I just don't think some of them are quite relevant after such a deep, touching story. So I don't know if I'm going to play that one with you today, but we certainly can another time. But I do want to say this. Uh, since I started listening to you on stereo when you thought I was a serial killer because I was puffed out from work and you thought I was dragging a dead body, uh, I've really got to know you, and I listened to your talks a lot more before. You're not following as many people. I kind of latched onto your story. It was fascinating for me, and um, I think it's because I see that you're really a positive person on here. You're always laughing. You're always an open book. You're always you wear your heart on your sleeve, but by far, like it's really easy for me to say that. And so when I see someone like you, and I kind of like understand your scenario and your story, it's like I see this poor innocent little girl still, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest, that's like, that kind of like just missed out on some guidance when she was younger, and it was like through no fault of your own, and like it was just a combination of terrible situations that came together that got you in these bad feels from when I hear you talking, right? And I just, my heart goes out to you, and I've said it to you before in the past that you've always got a friend in me, and I know that things that you said before, privately and on podcasts, is that you find it sometimes hard to know who to trust, and especially from a guy after the way you've been treated.
Oh no, I don't
And
trust any men.
yeah, I get that, and I've just always want to be there for you for those times you need to talk, or times like this. It We probably poked and prodded a little deeper than I normally would have with someone else, but I felt just because that we've got a rapport and a friendship already, that kind of had a bit more of a right to do that with you because we have got a trust with each
Yeah,
other.
you're fine.
But
You're fine.
so I didn't want to make you as upset by bringing up some of these past
No, you're
tense,
okay.
but I hope it
No,
was
you're okay.
kind of a place that you found that you may find therapeutic after listening to this a couple of times, maybe, or just revisiting
Hell
some of
no.
those memories that you didn't bring up before. So I just want to thank you for your time. Like, I love you. I care about you. I think you're a fantastic person, and
Thank you.
I think that I hope that everything turns out to be good in the end. I know you do experience some sadness too at times, and there are the times that I do worry sometimes. But you're a special girl. Okay. So
Thank you.
if anyone wants to ask anything to Amazon Goddess, right now is the time, because we're going to sort of wrap this up. But how do you feel that podcast went, explaining your life from
It makes
top
me
to
sit
toe?
back and actually have to. I never realized how much I blocked out. Now having the understanding of where I'm at now, and just even everything that I've been through, I still, like, you know, when you asked me that question, like, what would you tell your mom, or like, what do you think, you know? And I'm just like, no, it would be too much pain for her to handle. Like, it would break her. It, I am a part of her, so I know that that's what will happen, and I don't want that to happen to her. Nobody deserves to ever have to feel the type of pain that I've been through and survived through and deal with every day, that I still choose to not bring that upon somebody else. So going back and thinking, like, in certain situations where I was such a horrible person, like, I hated myself. I hated myself. Thought I did everything wrong, and just looking back, even then, how Jace had seen me, just so innocent, and just Jace had seen me and my heart, and the way that he viewed me and appreciated me was just how I am now, and it's almost grateful. So yeah, I really wasn't like, I used to beat myself up for a lot of stuff, but talking about it and opening up about it and saying things is just like, I really wasn't a bad person. Like, I really wasn't.
Not at all. No, I don't see you as
You
a
know,
bad
I
person
didn't
at all.
ask for a lot. I really didn't. And you're like, what's the one thing that could train, you know, could have changed? And all I said was love. Like,
Hmm.
and that makes me cry, because that's really all that it was. And it's just like, even then I wasn't a bad person for saying that. Like, I wasn't a bad person. I just wanted to be loved. That's it. Like,
100%.
that, how much damage somebody like that narcissist, how much damage that does, and then continuing to be damaged and still think that you're a bad person. So going back and I'm kind of getting that reassurance that I'm not a bad person, that I am a good person, and that I am nice.
Well, I can back that up because you are. There's nothing. There's nothing like we all got little bad streaks in us. It's not like you're an innocent angel either, right? And nor am I. And it's just that. But you're certainly not a bad person. You're a great person. You're a nice person. And I see you take the time with people. And here, especially when Stera was more busy before. Yeah, you're a loved person. So, yeah, I hope you take that away. You know, you've just said it that you know that. I hope it really sinks deep in you that you do know
Yeah,
that for real. You know, down to your soul.
yeah. Yeah, I kind of look at
Uh,
myself more like Jace, how Jace would always tell me that, like, not everybody deserves a piece of you. That was one thing that he told me, and now I get it. I finally get what he means by that. Like, not everybody deserves a piece of me. Not everyone deserves to have a place in my heart, is what he would tell me all the time. And because it would take up space from people who do. Um, and I finally get it now that for the first time ever, I finally get what he means by that. I truly get it now.
he was a smart kid. He actually he had some wits about him how he handled some of those processes. Like kudos to
Yeah,
him.
he was very extremely smart.
Yeah.
He was 21, 22 when he died. And for being 22, and the way it was, just he was everybody would say, like, even his parents at the funeral would just, like, you know, we're appreciative that our son um was able to experience the type of love that you two shared, because not everybody goes their whole life and never experienced that type of love. Even then it didn't sink in. I was like, okay, well, it was just me and him, you know what I mean? Like, people would stop
Mm.
us in stores, and it was just, he truly was an angel in showing me unconditional love and what I deserved, and I haven't forgot about it, and I literally live, and that's kind of like, he gave me that, what I needed, like, as far as showing you, well, what it felt like to be affectionate, what it felt like to be loved, and what it felt like to feel like you're good enough. And yeah, he truly did. In the young age that he was at, he was a blessing. He was a blessing. People say that all the time. Like he served his purpose. Like, his purpose was, it served. And I felt guilty at first for saying that, but I definitely, because I felt like, well, no, it's not about me. But I definitely feel like it was about me. Because yeah,
It's true. Not everyone gets to experience that sort of love, and yeah, that's a true blessing about it, and about the whole thing with meeting Jace. But just maybe you might not meet anyone like him again, but you still
yeah.
may meet someone who's a different type of love, as intense and different reasons. So, yeah, certainly don't shut that out. I think you stay on your positive track, and you know things will happen in time.
I think that's one reason why I have definitely stayed away from the last relationship I tried to get in. I just see myself getting so upset because they weren't like Jace, and I was like, whoa, 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 and I just had to pull myself back, and I was like, you know what, that's not fair to that person, and it's not fair to me, and it's not fair to Jace that I do that. So let me go ahead and just pull back, and and I just figured that I was like, it's best that I don't be with anybody, until I figure out why because that's not fair. So yeah.
Till you find yourself. When you find yourself, the rest will come, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
All right. So, is there any final thoughts you want to add or let the listeners know, or anything from this podcast? Is the time to say it now?
I hate the way that stereo's gotten to the point where it's just so much negativity, so much hate, so much back talking, so much this, so much that. Like, bruh, like, I just wish people would take a second, just a second. And I know people hear this all the time, like, you never know what somebody's actually going through. And I just wish more people on stereo would truly just take a step back, take a deep breath before they reacted, before they open up their mouth and judge somebody, before they open, like, you don't know. You really just don't know. Just if somebody's not doing something that you don't like, just swipe. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel the same. Yeah, this is the point of this series that I'm doing, is to like get people's lives on the table so everyone understands each other a little bit more. And because I think it's so quick to judge with the avatar. It's like, it's just a cartoon, and you're hiding behind, people hide behind the avatar too, right? So it's like easy to say things, and I'm guilty of roasting stuff on here, but they're sort of funny moments, and you know what I was kind of like on stereo before to what it is now, and now is I'm completely different how I do my shows. Like this, you probably know me in a different light compared to this, right? But this is kind of my field. This is like where I find my niches, and I love getting to know about people, and I love when people are honest like you've been, and now everyone learns and knows a lot more about you, So hopefully it cleans up the streets a little bit. We have a message from Erica before we shut out the show, so here we go. Is Erica?
Oh, go ahead.
Hello. How was y'all two this evening? How was y'all day yesterday? Anything new?
Well, you have to go back and listen to this podcast, and that's going to blow your mind, Erica. Thanks for that message. You got here at the wrong time. We're just about to end it. But Amazon, I want to thank you. She just got here, and we're just about to bounce. So, we appreciate your time. Like, again, that was super special. You know that I want to take the time with you on this one, particularly because of our friendship, and
Thank you.
I hope the podcast came across right for the listeners, exactly what you sort of feeling and went through. It's important that message got out there, I think. So
Yep, appreciate it. I'm gonna stay on stereos. Like I said, stereo's my therapy, so I'm gonna just if you have to go, you have to go. It's cool.
Yeah, I've got to end this one now, but I will absolutely be in touch with you. So just stay by your goddamn phone. You don't answer it as much as you used to.
I don't.
No, you don't. So
all right,
take care, and thanks for this show. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, my love. Bye.
Okay, bye.
First off, at least I was